considered the kings of the air, the best career passers in college history. Mark Herman, the slender rifleman from Purdue. Stanford's John Elway, he of the quick feet and quicker release. There was Jim McMahon, the BYU great who was number 2. And alone at the top at the start of this year stood Duke's Ben Bennett. And then along came the crown prince named Flutie. Too small, said the critics, as he pushed by Herman. Too fragile, said others, as he scrambled and dodged and weaved his way past Elway. Always a criticism, and yet up the ladder he rose, past McMahon and even Bennett to number 1, the top career passer in college history. Electrifying, charismatic, and devastating. He is admired by teammates and fans alike. And when it's all said and done, he'll most likely leave this game with something the others never captured, the Heisman Trophy. Doug Flutie and his Boston College teammates face an angry Miami Hurricane team who have a pretty fair country quarterback themselves by the name of Kosar. Bernie Kosar, tall and strong-armed. This sophomore signal caller can throw with the best of them. And if the Eagles are not careful, Kosar will take them deep for 6. With their talented core of receivers, the Canes are a threat from any point on the field. Flutie versus Kosar, a duel at high noon between 2 of college football's top quarterbacks as Boston College meets the Hurricanes of Miami, live from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida.
CBS Sports presents college football. Live from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida, it's the Eagles of Boston College versus the Miami Hurricanes. Today's game is sponsored by the 1985 Jetta, the new affordable German road car from Volkswagen. The U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. And by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company, we're going to be there for you.
So it is Boston College against Miami, and this is not a Chamber of Commerce weather day in South Florida. It has been raining hard throughout most of the day, and of course Doug Flutie and Bernie Kosar will be affected by that wind that has been gusting. Kosar, the young man who is now getting ready for his confrontation against Doug Flutie. A year ago as a freshman, he led the Hurricanes to a national championship. And across the way in the Boston College locker room, Doug Flutie, who could be just a week away from earning the Heisman Trophy, is getting ready now to bring the Eagles out for their battle here against the Hurricanes in the Orange Bowl. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I am Brent Musburger, and what a confrontation this should be. Boston College, of course, headed for the Cotton Bowl, where they will probably be taking on Texas, although the Longhorns still have to get past Baylor and Texas A&M. As for the Hurricanes of Miami, they're angry, I said earlier. That's because they were humiliated a couple of weeks ago by Maryland. Opened up a 31-0 lead and then lost the game 42-40. And as a result, instead of going to the Orange Bowl, where they had an opportunity to defend their national championship, they have had to settle for the Fiesta Bowl. So many confrontations today. A pleasure to be working with Ara Parseghian and Pat Hayden. And Pat, we have got 2 coaches here who have done superb jobs.
Well, Jack McNeil has had a remarkable success at Boston College. 2 years ago, he led them to their first bowl game in 40 years. Last year, they won the Lambert Trophy, signifying the best team in the East. This year, they'll be playing on January 1st, and they win another Lambert Trophy. He's done 2 things in tandem, which are difficult to do in college football, Brent. He has won, and he's won so in an exciting fashion. Now, Jimmy Johnson, well, he's had an exceptional year at Miami as well. He came here under adverse circumstances, inherited Howard Schnellenberger's staff, didn't have a spring practice. They're a defending national championships team. They've won 8 games against very stiff competition.
All right, Pat, I look forward to hearing what you're going to say about Flutie and Kosar, and I want to know what the coach has got to say about how we're going to stop these 2 quarterbacks, and we'll have that story when we continue after this commercial and a message from your local stations. We are back live at the Orange Bowl, and you know, back in the 40s, a coach by the name of Frank Leahy took the Boston College Eagles to one bowl after another. Now it is Jack McNeil and Doug Flutie who are taking this team to the Cotton Bowl. Opposition this afternoon, the Hurricanes of Miami, the defending national champions, who of course will not repeat. Their coach a year ago was Howard Schnellenberger. Now it is Jimmy Johnson, who is directing this football team. And you know, you're going to see one of the most exciting players ever in college football. That is 5'9" Doug Flutie. What can we expect?
But don't forget the three-quarters. Don't forget the three-quarters. He's very upset with you. Would you be surprised if I said Doug Flutie was going to throw the ball a lot today? What Doug Flutie likes to do is line up in a lot of different formations, send people in motion, drop back and find the open man. He's thrown to 13 different receivers this year, and today he's going to spread the ball around a lot. Reminds me a lot of the offense we all used to play in 6th grade out in the front yard, but he gets the ball in the end zone.
And how do you stop Doug Flutie?
Well, when I found out that was my assignment, I immediately thought about the Miami coaches, the defensive coaches and players, and I thought, well, maybe we ought to know their religious preference, because if you're a Catholic, you can say a Hail Mary, and a Protestant, an Our Father. But on a more serious note, I think Jim Johnson, the Hurricane coach, put it pretty well. He says, we can't stop Flutie. We've got to slow him down. And how do they plan to do that? They're going to stay in a 3 deep, not to give the big play. They're going to try to hide their coverages if they possibly can to confuse him. And out of their 7-man front, they're going to rush 4, but they'll be different people. They're not going to blitz a whole lot, and they have one special defense that they call the cop, where number 58 Fleming will mirror Flutie, particularly when he's flushed out of the pocket. We'll see how that works.
All right, there's the mirror man down there. Now, what about Big Kosar? What can we expect from him?
Well, Brent, when you've seen Flutie scramble and use different formations, Bernie Kosar takes a different approach but gets the same kind of results. He's going to come up in 1 or 2 basic formations. Watch his eyes, because he's going to audibilize an awful lot. He wants to get the ball to his wide receivers early in the football game. When they double them, to audibilize, get the ball to his tight end, Willie Smith, who's caught 62 passes this year.
And Errol, what about the BC defense?
Well, it's amazing the similarity between the 2 defensive philosophies. They're going to stay in a 3 deep. They've used some 2 deep and burned by it. They're going to stay in a 3 deep. They're going to try to camouflage and hide their coverages if they can. They're not going to blitz a whole lot. And they have one special deal. They're going to knock their 2 tackles down over the guards to draw the block and put their great nose man, Mike Ruth, right over Sinclair, the Hurricane center, and try to get to Kosar. We'll follow that as the game unfolds to see whether or not it works.
All right, so throw another log on the fire, pull up your favorite chair. Here comes Doug Flutie. We got excitement coming your way from the Orange Bowl in Miami in just a moment. Boston College Eagles and the Miami Hurricanes are set to begin in the Orange Bowl. Miami leading the series, and the home team has won each meeting, and the Hurricanes are favored here this afternoon. And again, the weather could be an enormous factor in this game. It has rained hard all day, and that gusting wind will be the problem for Kosar and Flutie. Flutie will have the ball first. Miami will kick it off, and that is Mark Seeley, who will put it deep. In this situation, frequently you have to have another player hold it because of that gusting wind. Seelig wants to try it one more time without somebody holding the ball. Steve Williams and Tyrone Taylor are set back deep for the Eagles. And fielded back in the end zone by Williams. Boston College, of course, is led by the most exciting player in the college game today, Doug Flutie. Strahan is a very dependable performer, and Troy Stratford has been nursing a hamstring injury. Kelvin Martin, an explosive receiver. Phelan is Flutie's roommate and his favorite target. Now Casparillo goes in to replace the injured Gieselman in their starting lineup. Flutie to put it up on first down. And he completes his first pass to the far side, and he hits Phelan. Now these are the men who will set up front. Sean Regent for the Eagles. He is alongside Mark Bardwell, and the coach's son, Jack Bicknell. He is the center on this team. Very dependable guard, and perhaps the toughest of their offensive linemen is Mark McDonald. He is an All-American candidate. It is 2nd and 5 for Flutie and the Eagles. They put Bell in motion. Dumps off to the side to him. And immediately, Doug Flutie opens up with 2 completed passes right here. John McVay made that stop. And speaking of the defense, these are the men. Julio Cortez, a very gritty performer. He's next to Jerome Brown, who's quick. Morris, the hard hitter of the bunch. And Fagan is a very, very dependable. He's probably the leader of that group. And Moss is only a sophomore. He has a bright future. Bernie Kosar said, generally, I don't pay much attention to what the other team's offense is doing, but he said, I just want to stand on the sideline and enjoy Doug Flutie. Flutie now with a 3rd and 1 yard, and he's got the first down. Handing it off to his running back, Troy Stratford. Now the rest of the defense, Bruce Fleming is at linebacker. McVay was in on one of the hits already this afternoon. Reggie Sutton, he is one of their leaders, along with Tolbert Bain. Fullington has intercepted 4 passes this year, and Calhoun returns from an injury.
We've seen 3 different plays from Boston College and 3 different formations, just what Doug Flutie wanted to do at the beginning of the game.
Complete again. Scott Gieselman.
We talked about how Doug Flutie likes to spread the ball around too, Brent. We've seen him throw the ball to Phelan once. He threw the ball to a back, and now he's going to find his big tight end, Gieselman, number 83. Again, he is right in the pocket. He's throwing over defensive linemen. Gieselman, the tight end, has been a big factor in their offense. The tight end position for Boston College has caught 42 passes. So Flutie wants to spread the ball around, get the ball to as many receivers, and his tight end is going to be prominent today.
Set in the I formation this time. 2 wide receivers out to Flutie's left. Drops it off to Stratford. Short of midfield at about the 48-yard line. Era, anything defensively that the Hurricanes are doing differently right now against Flutie?
Well, no, the thing that was really different here is that the Boston College team is really stretching the defense. You can't quite see it from this angle here, but they're stretching it clear across the field. And of course, he's looking downfield. They're covered, and he just dumps the ball off to his outlet man. It's a little slip screen here. They're really putting pressure on the secondary of the Hurricanes.
Left hash mark for Flutie this time. And again, he has thrown it complete to the far side, and that is still another first down.
Don't you like the way Boston College likes to come out and establish the run? He's thrown every down. Well, that's what we expected from Doug Flutie. Regardless of the weather conditions, he's going to come out and throw the football.
Martin is terribly explosive. 10 more yards on the gain. And he has come back home to the state of Florida. First down, the ball is at the Miami 42-yard line for Flutie. The tailback, right straight ahead with Bell. Penalty flag is down.
You see, this is good running on this particular play. As you watch, the defenders are in good position. This is their standard defense that they're going to use with their 3 deep. There's a great move put on right there. I can't see right from there who missed the tackle in there. Nothing wrong with the defense, just excellent running.
But it was set up a number of passes that Boston College set up before. They threw 5 straight times before they ran the ball. And anytime a defense is concerned about a Doug Flutie and throwing, the run is going to be there, particularly draw type of plays and traps where the defense is a little bit soft.
Phelan is flanked to Flutie's left. Strahan is the setback. Flutie to throw again, and he's got to complete to Gieselman. They are short of a first down. Down to the 33, and again it is John McVay, the linebacker, who is in on the stop for the Hurricanes.
The key so far here, Brent, has been that Doug Flutie's got excellent protection from his offensive line. Now watch what's going to happen here. He's going to drop back. The offensive line's got those arm outs. There's nobody there blocking Flutie's vision. Gieselman, again, the tight end, finds an open area there in the coverage. Miami is using a lot of man-for-man coverage on the short routes underneath, and if you continue to do that, this is the kind of day that Flutie's going to have.
Second and short, and Casparilla has checked in at tight end. Flutie with Martin, touchdown, Boston College. Wooden said, Coach, we got to love the way BC establishes that run and goes out after a tee.
Don't you love that? You used to do that, didn't you, Era? Come out like this?
Exactly. I ran the ball, but I didn't have a flutie all the time.
I understand.
Kevin Snow adds the extra point. Boston College moves 84 yards in 8 plays.
Well, this is the first throw to Kelvin Martin. Remember, Brent, what makes Flutie so difficult to defend, he's throwing the ball all over the place. We've seen Phelan catch the ball. Gieselman caught a couple passes on the drive. And now Kelvin Martin, their big receiver, catches the ball for the end zone. Good protection here for Doug Flutie once more. But again, the key here, great protection and a change-up in the receivers.
Now we come back. We'll watch Bernie Kosar go to work. It's 7-0 BC. Back in the Orange Bowl, where the Eagles strike the first time they touch the ball. Now it's Kosar's serve coming up as Snow prepares to kick it off for BC. And one of the deep men for Miami is number 21. He's on your all-name team, J.C. Pennant.
Oh.
I don't make it up. There he is.
Let's take a look at the error. You see the circled player is Fullington, the freshman safety man. He's got a habit of coming up to support. He starts back. He's supposed to take the middle third. Now he comes back up, and Bain, the left corner man, is beaten with no support from Fullington. The error was made by number 19.
Brent, I'll tell you what, I'm awful happy that Era's in charge of defense today, because I don't think there's going to be much.
We'll wait and see now. Hang on, Pat.
You haven't done a very good job yet.
Kosar to throw on first down. Incomplete. He has thrown 23 touchdown passes this year. And here's the freshman who steps in for the injured Highsmith, Melvin Bratton. Very versatile runner is Darrell Oliver. And now the wide receivers, the strength of the offense along with the quarterback, Stanley Shakespeare. And Eddie Brown, a possible number 1 as far as the pros are concerned. And Willie Smith, who is a tight end, has caught 62 passes. Smith is set to Kosar's right. Here comes high, and then Oliver moves out of it. 2nd and 10. Incomplete. Beautiful defense on the play by Neil Eiton, number 43.
This was an audible by Bernie Kosar here. He felt he could get Darrell Oliver down the middle. He's done this in the past. He had a couple big plays against Maryland 2 weeks ago in the same kind of audible. Darrell Oliver out of the backfield. He's got tremendous speed, but you're going to see number 43, Eiton, right there, who made a very good recovery because he was guarding Eddie Brown, but the ball was in the air a little bit too long. Allowed Eiton to come over and make a play.
3rd and 10. Penalty marker is down. And it was thrown by the umpire right into the middle of that line where holding frequently takes place as they were trying to offer Kosar a little extra protection. Now the rest of the Hurricane offense in the line, Paul Berticelli out of Miami. He works next to a 5th-year senior, Mike Moore. Now, Sinclair, the center, must handle one of the best nose guards in football. That is Ruth of Boston College. Alvin Ward and Dave Heffernan on the other side. Heffernan, a very intelligent leader of that offensive line. And as a result of that holding, it will be 3rd and 20, and the ball will be marked down at the Miami 13-yard line.
I mentioned at the top of the show, Brent, watch Bernie Kosar's eyes. He's a very, very intelligent quarterback. Both of these are. But he audibilizes more than most quarterbacks in college football. 35% of the time, he's going to try to pick apart that defense.
Once Brown jumps up and makes a spectacular grab, but was he in bounds?
I'm not so
he
sure.
Was out.
Excuse me, Brent, I'm not so sure I would have taken that penalty because you gave Kosar another opportunity. And he almost pulled it off. Here we see from an end zone shot. One of the things that Boston College is doing is that they're camouflaging their coverage as well, particularly Pereira. And he almost goes up the sideline here. He steps out of bounds apparently and just missed getting the first down.
Let's take another look at it. Remember, in college football, just 1 foot has to come down. Eddie Brown catches the ball and it's clearly out of bounds. The official was right there, and Miami will punt.
Rick Tootin will punt, and there is Martin set to return it. He is the man who scored the touchdown for Boston College. He slips one tackler, but not the second. And Doug Flutie will have it for the second time at the 45 after that 45-yard punt and a 3-yard return.
Can you guarantee this furnace will save fuel?
Guarantee?
Guaranteed.
Well, it's early.
Coach Jimmy Johnson conferring with one of the officials, upset about something that transpired on the field. He, of course, came to Miami from Oklahoma State, and a couple of weeks ago experienced, I'm sure, the toughest game he's ever been involved in as a head coach, when the Hurricanes squandered a 31-point lead. On first down, here he comes throwing again. He's still perfect on the afternoon. Throws to his running back, Ken Bell, coming out of the backfield.
You can't double any of Boston College's receivers when they're spreading the wealth around. Again, here's Ken Bell, who's going to catch his second ball here today. Earlier, he caught a screen pass. This time, they're sending him down the field. Once more, the protection's pretty good. And it's funny, you watch Doug Flutie. He has an interesting way after he throws the ball. He gets his body out of the way. He rarely takes a hit after he throws the ball. And also, I think it prevents him from getting injured as well.
Strahan now is set in front of Bell. The Eagles come out of the eye, and Flutie moves the pocket himself to the right, and it's complete. On the deflection, I was all set to say there's his first incompletion, and Martin makes the spectacular grab.
Well, Doug Flutie surprises us all, Brent. Don't believe me. Doug Flutie makes you defend the entire football field. The first quarter, he's been dropping back. This time, it's a naked bootleg pass. He gets trying to get the ball to Kelvin Martin that is tipped, but Martin has the instincts and the ability to make an adjustment, come up with a big catch. The point being, Flutie makes you defend the entire 53 yards of width.
His younger brother, Darren Flutie, is now flanked to the left at the bottom of your screen. Hands the ball off, and bolting up the middle was Troy Stratford. First down for the Eagles.
This is only the second run we have seen from Boston College. We promised you a lot of offense, and believe me, that's what you're going to see it. When you're passing the ball as well as Boston College is, you're going to have some success running sprint draws and draw type of action. Troy Stratford, who was a question mark today with a hamstring injury, he means an awful lot to their offense because he has the capability, Brent, of going the entire distance. But there they used him wisely after a series of passes by Flutie.
First and 10. The ball is at Miami's 20. Complete again to Stratford. 5 more yards.
You can see the problem that there's a real dilemma for the Miami team. How to handle this guy Flutie, as we talked at the top of the show. They attempted to blitz or bring pressure one time, and that's when they ran that little draw in there. But it's awful tough to handle a guy like Flutie. Too much versatility.
You're in charge of stopping him today.
Oh, well, it isn't over yet, Pat. Give me a chance. We'll hold him under 50.
All right.
Second and 5. He is 10 of 10 and averaging better than 10 yards of reception. Thrown for 1 touchdown already. Now it's 11 of 11. Stratford's got another first down at the Miami 5.
I think one of the, as Pat pointed out, Brent, the protection has been superb for Flutie. And here he is, 11 for 11. How do you like that? You can't even do that in practice. I know Hayden couldn't.
You're right. I couldn't do it in warm-ups either. But the interesting thing is Miami has chosen just to rush 3 and drop 8 arrow. Maybe they're going to have to try to put some pressure on him.
Ken Bell is the tailback. Casparilla in motion. This is Bell sweeping to the left. Going for the corner and the second BC touchdown. be any doubters, Era, about the performance of not only Flutie, but this Boston College football team now. The way Coach Jack Bicknell has built a power in the East.
He's done a remarkable job, and these were that was 2 excellent drives on the part of the Eagles. But I'm wondering right here whether or not Miami is still shell-shocked from that Maryland game.
Kevin Snow adds his second extra point. It's 14-0.
You know, when you have to defend the run, you have to be a little bit more aggressive. But the problem with playing Flutie is that he makes you play soft because he throws the ball so doggone well. But here they come right down by the goal line with Ken Bell off tackle. Their offense has the power to run the ball off tackle, yet they can finesse you. Doug Flutie drops back and finds that open man.
We'll be back at the Orange Bowl in a moment. Era, what about Miami's defense that time?
Well, as you'll see here, number 1, the circled player is the contain man. They get outside the contain. One of the things when you're playing football, you've got to squeeze everything back to the inside. He gets blocked clear there, as you see, has no chance, and he gets outside the leverage. But two beautifully executed drives by the Eagles. Unbelievable.
Time left in the first quarter here in the Orange Bowl. Flutie has handled the ball twice and has scored both times, and Miami does not have a yard of offense yet here in the opening quarter. J.C. Penney and Darrell Oliver are set deep for Snow. Oliver runs up, fields it at the 7 and fumbles. Picks it back up and stepped out of bounds near the 20-yard line, about the 21-yard line, and here comes Kosar. And a big day tomorrow. I want to remind everybody that the road to Lexington starts on CBS with the Louisville Cardinals taking on Indiana Hoosiers, coached by Bobby Knight. And of course, at halftime, we'll get an update from Frank Lever. And the two fellows with me in the booth know a little bit about this rivalry. The Fighting Irish against the Trojans.
That's going to be a good one, too.
Coming after you, Hayden.
Again and again, huh?
It's been a long time, but we're coming after you.
I understand.
Here's Kosar. First down for Miami. He hands off to Bratton, and no daylight. Met right there. Mike Ruth was one of the defenders, number 68. And if you get an opportunity, watch the big nose guard from Boston College. He's one of the finest nose guards in the country. He wants to become a priest, but he said he may have to slow that up for a time while he plays a little professional football. Benches something like 550 pounds.
I hate to arm wrestle him. Did you see the size of his arms?
Who could you arm wrestle, Hayden?
Oliver to the 25-yard line, where it'll be 3rd and 7 for Kosar.
Well, Miami wants to obviously keep the ball out of Doug Flutie's hands. One way of doing that, of course, is by controlling the ball, controlling the clock. But really, Brent, that is not Miami's personality. They are a throwing football team. We've seen them try to run the ball here twice in a row. They've only picked up 3 yards.
That's exactly right, Pat. They've got to keep the ball away from that explosive Boston College offense. They're dynamite.
Brown is to Kosar's left. There was movement in that offensive line. Now Boston College is complaining bitterly because they don't think, yeah, there it is.
Well, this is one thing. Miami's been penalized 84 times coming in to today's game. Now, if my mathematics is correct, that's almost 8 times a game. It's an awful lot to overcome, particularly when you're down by 14 points.
Legal procedure, lineman moving. Against Miami, we're going to play 3rd down.
Paul Schmidt, our referee, with the call. 3rd and 11 for Kosar, and Eddie Brown, the dangerous one, is set out to Kosar's left. They double the 2 men on the outside. Complete to Brown at the 45, midfield, and steps out of bounds at the 42. He's so dangerous after he catches the ball, and that was a 37-yard gain.
Boston College deployed into a jam position. You see the wideouts. They're trying to double up on him, but Kosar got an awful lot of time to throw the football. Brown gets into the seam, the deep seam. Look at the hole in here. Kosar has enough time. Great catch by Brown. Not only that, he can run with the football. Kosar is explosive as well, and here they come.
Boy, he picked up 2 nice blocks by his wide receivers there, one being Stanley Shakespeare.
Pat, there's a first down for the Hurricanes now at the BC 41-yard line. This is Oliver. And the defense led by Chuck Gorecki, number 95, closed down.
You know, we talk so much about Doug Flutie. You don't realize how good Boston College's defense is as well. It's a very good defensive team. They put some pressure on people. They played a big league schedule the last few years and done very well. They have their stiffest test today, I believe, in Bernie Kosar.
Deep drop. Sets it up beautifully to the screen. This is Bratton. Gets down to the 30-yard line for a first down. That second effort by Bratton earned Miami the first down. Romanowski, the linebacker, finally brought him down.
Football is very much a game of momentum. Boston College had it, but Miami now is trying to get it back. And one way of doing it is throwing some short, safe passes. They felt that Melvin Bratton is a very good receiver. They want to get him the ball out of the backfield, both on screen passes like this, as well as downfield. But the momentum here is now in Miami's favor.
As soon as Kosar turns his back on the defense, Boston College said they're coming with the delay. And that time they read it perfectly. They said that Kosar will never turn around and throw back at you once he shows you his back. And here you can watch the linebackers looking in to try and read. There is the turn. And that's when they're taught to close in. Ruth quickly moving over to cut off that seam, and the linebacker pressing in from the right-hand side.
Good defensive down.
Complete, and it's Brown again working the sideline, but he is short of the first down, and over there was Tony Thurman.
Brent, just as Boston College came out, as we said, and they were going to change formations and throw the ball around, so is Miami staying true to form and trying to throw the ball early in the football game to its wide receivers. This is the second or third time he's gotten the ball to Eddie Brown, this time on an out cut. It looks like he did pick up the first down. He got 1 foot in, or actually got 2 feet in.
He did a beautiful job of getting that first down, Pat.
And when Eddie Brown has the speed that he has, you obviously have to respect him deep. We saw him catch 137-yarder, and that allows you to throw those out cuts.
The BC 18 fumble recovered by Kosar.
Remember, that's a defensive scheme that Boston College wanted to use. Mike Ruth on the center, Sinclair. They felt they could back him up into Kosar, maybe create some exchange problems between Ruth, the center, the nose guard from Boston College, against Sinclair, the center from Miami.
One of the problems also for the defense on both sides is that they can both grab big chunks of yardage. Just because it's 2nd and 10 now doesn't mean anything, or 3rd and 10. They can grab it in a hurry.
Brown is to Kosar's right, and Stanley Shakespeare goes to his left. Movement again, and penalty flag comes down.
Like the right guard moved, right guard or right tackle of the Hurricanes.
Well, you're right, and this, as we mentioned earlier, Coach Bersigian, Miami's had a problem with this all year long. Came in with 84 penalties. Officials are saying
The defense is threatening and the offense came up. No flag.
that's fair. It's Thanksgiving weekend, yeah, right? Offsetting penalties, I guess.
It's unusual in that situation, Coach.
That's right. Change that rule so that the burden goes to the offense. Any kind of movement there.
Jack McNeil is not sure that he understands it. I know I don't. 2nd and 11 for the Hurricanes. On the reverse, it's Eddie Brown, and he's got daylight. 15. Inside the 10. First down for the Hurricanes at the 6-yard line. Oh, he's explosive. A 13-yard in the round.
A very, very nice change of pace by Miami. We've seen some off-tackle runs. We've seen Bernie Kosar dropping back into the pocket. Now they get into scoring position, and they put some more pressure on you. They give it to Eddie Brown, the man with outstanding speed on the outside. Look at number 50, Mike Moore, out there in front of him. The interesting thing to me, Brent, was the Boston College team feels that they can run a lot of reverses against Miami's defense, but they turned the tables here.
You know, this is not Miami's strong suit, the running game. As a matter of fact, they're only averaging 121 yards a game compared to 307 passing. They can get the big chunks of yardage, but down here they'll probably try to pound it in here. But they may miss Alonzo Highsmith, who was injured in the Maryland game, and he was their big running back that got that short yardage. Let's see whether or not Bratton can get it.
He is number 5. Here he comes, over the top for the touchdown. Number 52, the right tackle, helped open that hole, and then Bratton did the rest by going over the top and extending his arm on into the end zone. And this is Greg Cox. Ooh, we got a little ricochet on that one, but it counts just the same.
Well, Melvin Bratton answered the question about Highsmith's injury because he did get the tough short yardage here and over the top. Pretty good penetration there by BC, but a tremendous leaping ability that allowed Bratton to break the plane of the goal line. But the BC defense really guessed correctly. Watch them shift to their left. They're expecting Bratton to go that way. You're going to see him shift, move back a little bit. But Bratton was too tough over the top. Very good offensive line surge. The result, touchdown.
Flutie's turn coming up. Errol, what about the BC defense? Did they let down after going up by 2 touchdowns?
No, not really. I think one must face the fact that these two teams, when they play, average about 900 yards in a contest. Right now, the first quarter isn't even over, and they're up to 227. They're just two great offensive teams.
Seelig to kick it off for the Canes. Williams and Taylor are back deep for the Eagles. One of the short men fields it in front of Williams and gets back to the 18-yard line. And a reminder that at the conclusion of the game, Pat and Aaron and I will select a Chevrolet Most Valuable Player of the game from each of the teams, and Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of both Miami and Boston College. And there is a penalty flag down.
It was a personal foul against Miami. I believe that's their 4th penalty here in the first quarter.
And as a result, Doug Flutie and BC will come up to the 35-yard line. Flutie is 11 of 11 in this first quarter. And he's already passed for 118 yards as he closes in on still another record. Fake to Stratford, moves to the left, repositions a receiver, and hits Gieselman. Out of bounds, no completion. Bernie Kosar, who directed Miami to its first touchdown, has pulled them to within 7.
There's the pass distribution. We've talked about that so much here at the top of the show in the first half. Look how Flutie is spreading the ball around. That's what makes them difficult to defend. And then after he's throwing the ball around to a number of different people, they run a draw or a trap, and you've got a halfback in the defensive backfield.
That was his first incompletion in the game. Stratford and Strahan are set behind him in the eye, and Flutie will sprint out to the right. to Martin, incomplete.
Brent, the coverage is a little bit better in this series of downs for the Hurricanes. I think they're getting more familiar with what Flutie does and where the receivers are coming from. They did make a dramatic change in the coverage of their underneath people, the linebackers and the outside backers, along with a strong safety. Hadn't done it for a number of weeks. Here we take another look at the entire defense. You can see the coverage is much better here. Of course, he slipped and fell right there. I didn't realize that. I guess that was Callahan, or Calhoun that slipped and fell, number 2.
Third down and 10. His brother Darren Flutie was the motion man on the right-hand side. Incomplete. And for the first time this afternoon, Doug Flutie is stopped. Daniel Stubbs was the defensive back.
I told you my defense would come through.
You're finally getting it going, aren't you, Coach?
Hang it in there.
14-7, Boston College leading Miami. Steve Peach, a quarterback on this BC team, will punt. No one plays much quarterback except number 22. That's Eddie Brown. Steps out of bounds there at the 30-yard line.
Boy, he is quick, and you can just tell that when every time he gets the ball in his hands, that he's good on the dance floor.
It reminds me of my own youth.
Here are the bowl games coming up on CBS. The Sun Bowl on December 22nd. That'll come your way at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the Peach Bowl on December 31st at 3 p.m. And, of course, the big one, the Cotton Bowl, which will bring you Boston College against probably Texas. But they still have to beat Baylor and Texas A&M. Now it's Bernie Kosar and Miami going back to work, trailing BC 14-7. He'll throw on first down. Time. Brown down to the 48-yard line, covered by Todd Russell. But if you give him that much time, Brown will pull away.
Just too much time. Absolutely too much time. Boston College cannot stay with Brown that long.
This is Bernie Kosar's version of his scramble. We've seen Doug Flutie scramble around a little bit, but he steps up into the pocket, buys himself a little bit more time, and you both said it. Eddie Brown is so quick that even though he had double coverage on him, he was allowed to find a dead spot, an open area. Kosar delivered the ball.
They get off another play, and it's the delay with Bratton to the 47, and that will bring the first quarter to an end. It's 14-7 BC, and we'll return after this commercial break and a word from your local stations. As if on cue, the sun has started to peek through just a bit here in Miami. This is the brightest it has been all day down here. It rained hard. The lights have been used to help the players see down here, and of course this is the scene of a Monday night game coming up between the Dolphins and the Jets, and they use PAT turf, and we'll see how it holds up the wear and tear after this game is over. This is a 2nd and 9. Miami trailing BC 14-7. Bernie Kosar dropping back to put it up again. Complete to Bratton. Almost took away a first down when he dipped back, but I believe he picked it up.
Here are the quarter stats. Look at the yards passing. We promised you an offensive show. They're going to continue to throw the football throughout the whole football game. Turnovers, even though bad weather conditions, they have not turned the ball over. A pretty even first quarter.
I think also the important thing was that Flutie was able to drive his team for 2 scores into what wind we have, the swirling wind. He will have the wind with him in this second quarter.
They are going to measure, and Bratton's inexperience showed in that sequence. He had the first down, then he dipped back to try and pick up more yardage, and when he tried to get back, they cut him down just that short.
Bernie Kosar's also had a very good first quarter. I'm certainly not disappointed with either one of these. Different styles, but they both get the job done.
They're not getting to him either, are they, Pat?
Not putting much pressure on him. You're right.
Short yardage formation by Kosar. first down. Fumble. And it goes out of bounds. Miami's ball. David Pereira was over there for BC, but he could not get a handle before it went out of bounds.
So often on short yardage, if the back can get through the initial wave, and here he picks up a nice block and gets outside, and then really tries to run over Pereira, the ball does pop out. The BC players are there to try to make the recovery. Didn't have possession before he went out of bounds. Actually didn't have possession at all. That was number 36, Peter Holy. But a first down for the Hurricanes.
After that 16-yard gain, ball is inside the 25. And on first down, they run off tackle to the right side. David Thomas made the stop on Warren Williams, who is checked in.
Surprised that Miami actually has run the ball a little bit better here in this last couple of drives, Era.
Very effective against that defense. They were trying to blitz Kosar and anticipated a pass, and it was a good call.
Williams. First down inside the 10. Again, it was Peter Holy.
They're really making it tough on the defense because Kosar is mixing it up. They've been principally a passing team. They're deployed to come in and put a heavy rush on Kosar. Look at the blocking. Look at the hole. They're making it very difficult on the Eagles. They're making it tough on me defensively.
And the other thing they're doing is they're keeping Doug Flutie on the bench.
BC defense. You know that Mike Ruth is down there someplace on that stop.
It's a pretty good guess.
But they have not been able to get to Kosar. We expected Ruth to be able to get to Sinclair, but Ian Sinclair, number 76, the Hurricane center, is doing a pretty good job on him because they have not sacked Kosar, pressured him maybe a little bit once or twice.
Open is Smith, the tight end, and he drills him for the touchdown. The Hurricanes of Miami have come hustling back into this one in the first half after trailing 14-0. They have quickly scored 2 touchdowns, and now Greg Cox adds the extra point, and we are tied at 14.
Bernie Kosar can throw different types of passes. He has different types of touch. This time you're going to see him absolutely drill the ball to his tight end, Willie Smith. Remember, this is the man who came into the game with 62 receptions. Here, he tries to get the ball, Kosar does, outside first, but he's double covered, so then we told you he was going to get the ball to his tight end, Smith. Smith is a marvelous athlete, and you're going to see the height. He's 6'2", but he jumps up and makes a terrific catch. He's got very large hands. That's the difference.
We may score 150 points here before we're done.
Last guy who has the ball, right?
Back in the Orange Bowl, and you can see how quickly Kosar took the Canes in for their second touchdown. Seelig kicks it off, and again it is fielded by one of the short men, and he is brought down at the 27-yard line.
Let's take a look and see what happened. The circle player is number 17, Tony Thurman, the leading interceptor in the country with 10. But watch as he makes a mistake, and he moves to his right. Kosar reads it. You see him, he should be center fielding here. And Kosar drills the ball so fast and hard in there, Thurman cannot get back. And that is a touchdown. Almost the same mistake that was made by Miami when Boston College scored.
Doug Flutie brings the Eagles to the line of scrimmage at the 29. Throws on first down. Incomplete, and the ball should have been caught by Ken Bell.
There, you just mentioned the same mistake being made. That's what happens, though, when you're throwing the ball around. We saw Eddie Brown catch a number of receivers from number of balls from Kozar that allowed that tight end to not get as much attention.
But, you know, the thing about it, Pat, is the very thing that both coaches talked about defensively was to avoid the big play, stay in a 3 deep, give them shelter. But they've been burned twice, each team.
Whoops. Comes back to the other side. Complete. And that time it went to his running back Bell, and he held on. Reggie Sutton was the corner, but not until Bell had picked up 17 yards and a first down for the Eagles.
When you watch Doug Flutie play the game of football, you always have a smile on your face because he's always going to do something like this. Here, you can't, this is just athletic ability. The impromptu play, it's very difficult to defend. You're going to have some defensive breakdowns. He has a marvelous knack of finding open receivers.
The outside linebacker, Cortez, did not contain. He dropped back into coverage, and of course that gave Flutie that opportunity.
They run on first down. Stratford up the middle, and that is only the second time in this game that BC has gone to the run on first down. And a big round of applause as the haze starts to lift over downtown Miami. Someone upstairs wants to get a better view of these two guys as they move up and down the field here.
You're right. Look at the all-time passers as they entered today. Of course, Flutie on top now has that chance of going over the 10,000-yard mark. It's pretty good company.
2nd and 1. Stratford banging for another first down.
It's amazing what head coaches at Notre Dame can do. The weather, I mean, it's just remarkable to me.
Well, I want
Look at that sun off of those golden helmets down there. Doesn't he love it?
Well, this is not going to be a defensive battle, that's for sure.
When did you figure that out?
You want to go out on a
When
limb
you
like
guys
that?
gave me the defensive responsibility.
Ball is at the 42 now on first down. And right out to the side it goes to Stratford. Out of bounds inside the 35, but there's a penalty flag down.
Boy, Troy Stratford had a bad hamstring coming into the football game, and you really saw the effects of it there, Brent. He just could not really take off on that leg. Again, let's take a look at Troy Stratford. He has not practiced all week because it was so cold up in Boston. Now watch, he just can't really, you can see him limping there a little bit. He's trying to get out of bounds. Whap, he takes a hit, pushes him out of bounds. Dallas Cameron knocked him out.
I must not be sure either.
That's the gentlemen who are huddling down there trying to get this infraction straightened out. Going to bring in one more, I think, for maybe they'll just take a vote.
That's the Democratic way of doing it.
Well, here we come. We're going to get it.
We got a consensus, I think.
Go flag.
All that, huh? Oh, my.
Oh, boy. Johnson is really heated.
This guy just want a little airtime, I guess.
So it's a first down for BC and Doug Flutie. The ball is at the Miami 30-yard line as they pick up 10 yards on that last play. Ken Bell replaces Stratford. He's the tailback. Flutie sprints to the left, outruns the defender, and picks up 7 or 8 yards. Kevin Fagan was moving in on Flutie, and he just accelerated around him and got out of bounds. Shades of Francis Tarkenton on that one.
Oh, you're right. But you have to play a very disciplined defense when you play Doug Flutie, because he can do that. How many times have we seen Doug Flutie run that naked bootleg play where he fakes to a tailback or on a sweep and then gets outside containment and makes all sorts of good things happen. Barry Gallup, he's the offensive coordinator for BC. Very close, the man who recruited Doug Flutie.
Stratford is back at tailback. Throws a beautiful block to give Flutie some throwing time. Incomplete and almost intercepted. And Kenny Calhoun was the defender for the Canes.
Amazing thing about both quarterbacks today is they have not thrown many interceptions.
Good coverage this time, as you see Ken Calhoun, number 2, will get right in the perfect position. It looks like Flutie's got his receiver right there. He almost intercepted the ball. Good coverage on the part of Miami.
And there's a penalty against the Hurricanes.
Face mask against Miami. First down.
And a first down for the Eagles, who are inside the 20-yard line as a result of that infraction, and Coach Johnson is getting more and more upset by the minute.
He's trying to figure out how to stop this ball club, and no one else has done it, Jim. You're just going to have to outscore them.
They'll go to one running back in this formation. Strahan off the left side on the slant to the 15-yard line. Bruce Fleming, linebacker for the Canes, was one of those who applied the hit. It'll be second down for Flutie. The ball resting on the 15-yard line. Casparillo, the BC tight end, set to the right. Stratford is back. Stratford slipped a bit as he got inside the 10-yard line. Has to get to the 8 for a first down, and Calhoun brought him down. It'll be a short yardage formation. Sent in now by Coach Jack Bicknell and the Eagles.
I think it was last week when they got hooked up with Syracuse in a really tough ball game in bad weather conditions. Boston College demonstrated that they can run the football when they need to. But the versatility, of course, of Flutie gives them a tremendous dimensions in both phases of the game, running and passing.
You're right, Era. I think it surprised an awful lot of people. BC ran for, what, 270 yards last week against a very good Syracuse defense.
Exactly right.
3rd and 1 for Flutie and the Eagles.
This is a situation where they like to give the ball to Strahan over the top. He's been very successful.
Interesting, Pat, because they switch him to the tail. Fake him that time. Flutie wants to throw it, gets past Fagan, has the first down, and I think he dove for the touchdown. He did. He is remarkable.
How do you defend that?
You know, Pat, forget whether or not he can ever play in the NFL. You and I were talking about that this morning.
He is a great college football. All the talk is about whether he can play professional football. That's not the point. It's irrelevant. The point is he's one of the greatest college football players of all time, the most exciting player that I've ever seen, and that's what's at issue. He may or may not have a successful pro career, but that's what now we're concerned with today.
Kevin Snow to attempt the extra point for the Eagles. And they've jumped right back into a 7-point lead.
I mentioned that on short yardage, Boston College generally likes to give the ball to number 33, Steve Strahan. And here he does. He fakes it to him over the top, and Flutie is out on the corner again. This is a very dangerous place for Doug Flutie to be defensively. Shows some strength. He breaks the tackle there. He knows where the end zone is.
Good block by Kenny Bell, 24, sealing up on the defensive back. Back at the Orange Bowl in Miami, where the Boston College Eagles have just come back and regained the lead on the Hurricanes of Miami. And that's the time remaining in the first half, and now it is Mr. Kosar's turn to go to work against that Eagle defense. 21-14 in the first half already. J.C. Penney is back deep with Darrell Oliver. This is Penny. Out to the 18-yard line.
You know, from a coaching perspective, I think that I would have wanted Flutie to throw the ball to Ken Bell. Number 24, you see how open he is right there? Right there is Flutie, number 22. Now he runs the ball, and you take a risk. You take the risk of an injury. Now, Flutie is a great runner and a tough little guy, but why take the risk? He could have thrown the ball to Bell.
Those coaches always want to take the fun out of it.
Don't they? I know.
I mean, I want to see the guy dive in the end zone.
Right? I'll tell you.
Yeah, but Ken Bell wanted the ball.
Kosar's turn for the Hurricanes. First down. Off the fake to Williams. He draws time. And he has got Stanley Shakespeare all alone. A coverage mistake inside the 40, the 35, and down to the 32-yard line. Stanley Shakespeare and Neil Eiton finally brought him down after a 49-yard gain. Kosar to Shakespeare.
Brent, when you said coverage mistake, you're absolutely right. Remember all the balls that Eddie Brown, number 40, has caught today? Well, here's what happens when you start getting concerned with Eddie Brown. The other wide receiver, the flanker, number 6, Stanley Shakespeare. Now, there should have been a linebacker or somebody there in the middle of the field to try to take that away. There was nobody there. There was a big hole. And Kosar, again, with the eyes, he always has the vision. He finds the open man on the field. He spreads the ball around, too, as well.
And he has hit 7 in a row after missing his first 3 passes today for a total of 143 yards. There's that deep drop. He sets the screen with it, and there's Bratton. Bratton breaks a tackle and gets to the 25-yard line. David Pereira, the strong safety, brings him down. He's 3 yards short of a first down.
But you have to like the play selection by Miami. They'll go downtown, come up with a big play downfield like we saw to Shakespeare. Then you're concerned about that. The next thing they do is come out and throw a little finesse at you, a little screen pass after you're dropping deep to try to take away the big play. Good play selection by Miami.
Sweep to the right for the first down, steps inside the 15, and then takes on a defender inside the 10, and Bill Thompson finally brings him down. 17-yard run by Bratton, and now the Canes are knocking on the door again. The last team to handle the ball may win this. And speaking of handling the ball, it's the season premiere of NCAA basketball on CBS tomorrow. It's a good one. 1 p.m. Eastern time. Louisville, coached by Denny Crum, against Indiana and Bobby Knight. And we'll hear from Frank Lieber at halftime of this game. We'll be there covering for us tomorrow. Here it is, first and goal for Kosar and the Canes, and he'll put it up. Touchdown, Miami. Warren Williams out of the backfield.
I want to tell you, that is one fantastic catch and throw.
I thought I had an interception. It was very close. What a job Kosar did there. Got that ball in there. I don't know how he got it there.
Greg Cox hits this extra point. It'll be 21 all with 7:38 to go in the first half. And that's what it is.
Boston College's defensive game plan was to drop back and play coverage. And here you're going to see what happens. You're going to give Bernie Kosar a little bit too much time. They have a 4-man rush there, but they can't get to Kosar. He's looking for receivers. He buys himself a little bit more time and really throws off balance and still was able to get enough on the ball. And a beautiful catch by number 24, Warren Williams, out of the backfield. This drive saw a lot of different type of plays. A big pass play to Stanley Shakespeare, a screen pass, and now the big catch by Williams.
The ball is being teed for Mark Selig as the official wipes it off one more time. And set back deep, Tyrone Taylor and Steve Williams, with Bernie Kosar throwing the final 8 yards of that drive. He was 3 of 3 for 64 yards. So he passed for 64 of the 81 yards. Now it's about to be Flutie's turn again. This one bounds out of the end zone. It'll come out on the 20-yard line.
Brent, this touchdown is an almost. As you watch Chuck Gorecki come from the right side of the screen, almost gets to Kosar. Watch him come right here. He has plenty of time right there. And almost now, Todd Russell almost knocks the ball down, but it was too well executed on the part of the offense. Defense wasn't that bad.
A lot of almosts on his defense.
Well, I'll tell you, that'll get you beat, won't it? A lot of almosts.
Here's Doug Flutie with his 5th possession. He has 3 touchdowns and 1 punt, as does Bernie Kosar. Stratford is the tailback. They'll throw again on 1st down. Complete. And that's Gerald Phelan, Doug Flutie's roommate and his favorite target at BC.
Era, you really have to enjoy the play selection by both these coaches, both these staffs. Again, we talked about them spreading the ball around. Phelan catches his 2nd pass today. Both quarterbacks doing a marvelous job of getting the ball to backs and getting the ball downfield, change of paces with some screen passes and some draws and traps.
And also the beautiful quick release that Flutie has.
Flutie needs just 11 yards now to pass 10,000 yards passing. Hands off that time to Stratford, who was brought down after a yard gain.
There's a celebration if you stop him for one play.
I was about to say, those defensive coaches are terribly excited about that. Steve Williams checks in at tailback, and they right away flank him out to the left. Strahan, the lone running back behind Flutie on this 2nd down. Complete to Martin. A beautiful catch at the 49-yard line. And that gives Flutie 10,008 yards passing, the first college quarterback to throw for more than 10,000 yards in his career.
The coverage is not that bad, as you can see here, but Flutie just drills that ball. It's a great catch, but the defense is not that bad.
It's good offense.
They'll favor the pass on 1st down, and this time they'll go to the run with Troy Stratford.
Well, I'll tell you what, not only have we seen great quarterbacking here in this 1st half, but we've seen some remarkable catches. There we just saw one by Martin. Remember, we saw a great touchdown catch by Williams, and Eddie Brown's come up with some great receptions as well.
Well, of course, Sunday afternoon on the NFL, there's a doubleheader on CBS. Philadelphia St. Louis is the big first game. The 2 second games are San Francisco and New Orleans, and Chicago against Minnesota. The Bears can wrap up a divisional title if they win. This is 2nd down for Flutie, and there was a penalty marker down, and the whistle had blown before the play began.
Illegal procedure.
That is Jack Bicknell signaling the formation. Now, that is not the play he is sending into Flutie. Martin delivered the play from the sideline to Flutie. He comes off, but it is the coach who will give Doug the formation. This is a very complex offensive system that BC uses, and we see Doug go to the shotgun for the first time. Martin, fumble. Miami's ball. Bruce Fleming and Tolbert Bain responsible for that turnover.
This is what Miami was hoping for. Try to force Boston College to throw the ball underneath in front of the coverage, come up and be able to rally around the football, cause a couple of fumble recoveries or perhaps interceptions. But watch how Flutie's allowed to step up in the pocket and drill the ball right on the numbers to Martin. And then he tries to secure the ball, but Bain, number 18, strips him of the ball, and there's Fullington to make the recovery.
You can see here how wide open he is. There's a big hole right in here, and of course Flutie steps in, makes a great pass, but there is the kind of defense that you need. Good contact and a turnover.
And the first turnover in the game. And Kosar will throw on 1st down to Eddie Brown inside the 40-yard line as he slid into the 37 with a completed pass.
Bernie Kosar said, and we said at the top of the show, he wanted to get the ball to his outside receivers. He's done that here in the first half very effectively. Many times to Eddie Brown and, of course, to Shakespeare as well. This time, watch how he drills that football low and away. There's no way that ball is going to sail on him and get picked off. Eddie Brown, again, finds a dead spot right in front of the safeties.
24-yard gain, and Kosar has completed 10 straight. They run Bratton. There's an alley on the left. Out of bounds at about the 27-yard line.
Era, you and I were talking about this earlier in the week. Can you remember in a college situation a better matchup between quarterbacks?
I don't think I've seen this kind of matchup. As a matter of fact, in my day when I was coaching, if you met one or two great passers and maybe in a 10 or 11 game schedule, that was about it. But today, these passers and receivers are so skilled, I think it's put undue pressure on the defense. You cannot stop these teams. I don't know how you can with 11 people.
Well, you know, you're
out there.
absolutely right. I think 10 years ago or so, when I was playing and you were coaching, the defensive coach could rely on a quarterback to make a bad throw or overthrow a receiver to disrupt a drive. But nowadays, as you said, they're so skilled, they're just not going to miss those throws.
Time left in the first half. Do you know that 7 of 11 times this year, Kosar has thrown for better than 300 yards?
He's a remarkable performer. Very nice young man, very bright.
He sends Bratton into a slot for the first time on this first down. Fumble. BC's ball. Number 50 of Boston College, David Thomas.
He turned the ball right back to Doug Flutie in Boston College. Just looked like an audible by Kosar. He was going to run the ball here, and Bosa, number 97, really stripped him of the ball. And there's number 50, David Thomas, to make the recovery. But both teams have turned the ball over to opposing quarterbacks.
Tied at 21 here in the first half of the Orange Bowl. Jack Bicknell and the Eagles go back on the offense. 4:54 to go. Asperilla in motion. Flutie flush to the right. Throws a completion to Phelan. He is run out at the 42 by Sutton.
You never quite know where Doug Flutie is going to end up. This play was designed for him to drop back in the pocket and try to find a receiver. But again, you cannot defend the impromptu play. He can't find anybody right there, so he turns and spins. And he's got the quickness and speed to get away from a rush, and that's what gives his receivers like Phelan an opportunity just to find an open spot.
There was no contain on the left side, and that was the big problem. It allowed Flutie to come back to the outside. You've got to keep him squeezed in.
2nd and 1. Here's Stratford. Has the first down.
You know,
They'll have the ball at the 45.
One thing, Era, that I've noticed against BC, what I would try to do a little bit, I think, with Flutie, is really give him some inside rush. We've seen Flutie step up into the pocket a couple of times and hit the receivers over the middle. I would like to see him get a little bit more of an inside rush so he doesn't really have so much open area.
It's a very good point, Pat, and I think you got to contain from the outside. You can't let him scramble out of the pocket. They have been void of a contained man. He immediately senses it, feels it, and takes it.
They run the delay and get nowhere. Stratford, the ball carrier that time. And there's a penalty flag down in the secondary.
You know, Era, talking to the BC coaches this week, they really felt offensively they could run a number of reverses against this Miami defense. You just led me to think of that, too, because they are void on one side. They're not containing. That's what they saw in the films and felt they could run a reverse to those sides.
And dropping those outside linebackers, and exactly, if they run a reverse to the side where that fellow's
Here's what Doug has done so far. 17 of 21 for better than 200 yards, 1 touchdown. He has run for a second. That's a day's work for 98% of the quarterbacks in the game. For Doug Flutie, it's not even a half's work. He's got 4 minutes and 33 seconds to go. and he's a week away from picking up the Heisman Trophy. And he's taken on a young man who's going to be a serious contender next year, and that's Bernie Kosar. On the delay, Strahan bangs back to the 40. But that'll leave the Eagles with a 2nd and 15 is Bruce Fleming, number 58, who has been very active at that linebacking spot, mirroring Doug Flutie in this game. And he has come up with several big tackles for the Canes, although we certainly don't want to stress too many big tackles in this game. It's 21 all in the first half.
Brad, I'll tell you, if I were to go into pro ball, I wouldn't hesitate to take Doug Flutie as my quarterback right now.
Do you have an announcement for us?
No announcement.
Okay.
I'll just tell you, I'd take it.
Flutie to throw it on 2nd and 15. And Victor Morris.
Now here's the
got a
thing.
big paw on it.
Yeah, you're right. And Doug Flutie is sensitive about, because of all the talk about his height, about getting balls batted down. Now, lots of quarterbacks get passes batted down. Bernie Kosar has had his share as well. But here he just gets pretty good protection. Remember, these guys are pretty large. And it did get tipped there, but it's going to happen to any quarterback in any given game.
Particularly short ones like yourself.
Thank you, Era. I appreciate it. What was the score of that Notre Dame SC game a few years ago?
51-0 in 1966, sir.
That's the wrong year. I'm talking about 74.
Flutie to throw it, and there's penalty flags down on both sides. Incomplete. Miami appeared to be offside prior to the snap.
Offsides against Miami. Holding against Boston.
There's the formation sent in by Jack Bicknell.
See what the flapping wing indicates here.
It means, yeah, throw a pass and get at least 15 yards, Doug. He
came to BC from Maine, and he has done a remarkable job.
Boy, is he fun to be around, too, isn't he?
Super guy.
Kind of a coach that you'd like your son to play for, I'll tell you that.
It's the best compliment you can give anybody, I think.
Palin in motion. Flutie flush to the left. He'll keep it. Diving for the first down. It's going to be very close over there. The intelligence of Doug Flutie, Pat, when he saw the yardage marker and where he had to go, Era.
Everybody drops back on a man for man. You can't see Flutie here. He sees it all. No contain again. Nobody squeezes him, and he takes the ball and runs with the football. He reacts perfectly to the circumstances as they occur.
Can't defend the impromptu play of Flutie. You know, Coach, you defend some interesting quarterbacks, George Myra and Roger Staubach, similar type guys to Flutie. What did you do against them?
I think you got to bring guys hard from the outside, squeeze him in, and bring the people from the inside, Pat, to keep in his face if you possibly can. Drive him back. He gets outside. He's so dangerous. He can both run and throw on the run, and so accurately.
Well, that's how close he came to picking up the full 15 yards for the first down. As he dove, of course, he fumbled the ball out of bounds on that far side.
Looks like Boston College is going to go for it here. They are 6 of 7 this year on 4th down plays.
Let's see how Miami deploys here, whether it'll come to a goal line defense or not.
Strahan and Stratford are the running backs behind Doug. Stratford for the first down. 3:20 on the clock.
BC has all 3 timeouts remaining as well.
Dombrowski checks in as one wide receiver, along with Darren Flutie, who is Doug's younger brother. That's him at the bottom of the screen. They'll run on first down with Kenny Bell, and he is stopped and thrown for a loss. Calhoun was coming up from the secondary to help out on the play. Jones hit him first, and it'll be 2nd and 13. Coming up at halftime, we'll have a live report from the Louisville, Indiana game. Frank Lieber is there. Pat O'Brien interviewed Jerry Faust, the Irish coach, and we'll also hear from Lindsey Nelson on the echoes of college football. 2nd and 13. To Phelan. Out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Tolbert Bain with the coverage. 2:18 to go, and another first down for the Eagles.
We said at the top of the show, BC does it by different formations, trying to find soft spots and fooling the defense. There they brought in 4 wide receivers, Brent, and then again Doug just picked the open man. That time he found Phelan.
He makes it look so easy. That's the thing about it. From up here, his arm is so quick. He delivers right on the money. It looks easy, but it's not. It's a skill that he has.
Throwing again on first down. Drops it off to Stratford. Inside the 20. Ball will be spotted at about the 20-yard line.
Here, watch Doug Flutie after he releases the ball. This is one reason he has stayed healthy in his 4-year career at BC. He's going to release the football and jump away from the defender. Whap, that's a smart kid, I want to tell you. He's been doing that all day. He avoids a lot of punishment that way.
You see the size of his hands on that ball?
Very, very large hands.
For a guy 5'9" and 3/4?
You got it right, 3/4.
Here's his second down. Incomplete. That one was intended for his younger brother, Darren Flutie.
Doug Flutie's pass intended for Darren Flutie, incomplete.
3rd down for the Eagles, and 1:29 left on the clock here in the first half.
Well, they're keeping the officials pretty busy, too. With the way they stretch those defenses and all over the field. They're doing a good job.
Middle is clogged. Comes to the right. Steps out of bounds at about the 10-yard line. Another first down.
I want to tell you, if anyone is at home watching without a smile on their face when they're watching Doug Flutie, they ate too much bird yesterday, because this guy is an exciting player. Again, he can't find anything. He's just going to make something happen. And again, no containment from the outside. Era, you have made that point a number of times. He breaks containment, picks up yet another first down.
You know, one of the directors of the Cotton Bowl, Jim Brock, is here, nicknamed a hoss. I think he's enjoying this performance by Doug Flutie.
You'd like to see a lot more of it on January 1st, I think.
He says, if I see Doug go down in a heap and get injured, I'm going to run out there and jump on the stretcher myself and take his place.
I don't blame the hoss.
Here's the first down. Flutie wants Dombrowski back about a yard on the right-hand side. That's what he was motioning for. Deflected and almost intercepted. Incomplete pass. And that was Jerome Brown, number 98.
Well, this is what you need, somebody to knock the ball down. Like, number 98 is 6'2", 255, a sophomore, has great speed. And that time he was able to deflect the ball. Let's take a look at the coverage. Here's another shot of it. Flutie comes back. He's directing traffic. He finally decides just to dump the ball off right there, and it's deflected, knocked down. Almost could have been intercepted right there.
Here's second down from the 10. Strahan trying to get running room to the left side, battle to the 8-yard line. That that's a player the Eagles can ill afford to lose because of an injury. They have been decimated at that fullback position this year.
Right, Jim Brown, their backup fullback, has been hurt. Jim Turner's, their third fullback's a little bumped up too. So Strahan is very strategic in their game plan. An interesting call there on 2nd and 10, though, the run the draw play. I expected there to be a little bit more open, but when you're down in this part of the field, there's not as much room for the defense to drop back, so a draw play is a rather surprising call.
To the end zone, and it's complete for the touchdown. He hits Gerald Phelan.
Well, you're not defending him very well, Coach.
I'm telling you, I thought we had it done that time. But he gets the ball there so rapidly, and also it was a great catch by Phelan. That ball was thrown low.
Take a look at, again, Doug Flutie, a 3rd down situation. He's come through his entire career. Again, he breaks containment. There's nobody there from the outside. The ball is really deflected there by number 58 Fleming, and that's why the ball was a little bit low for Phelan.
And Tolbert Bain almost got there.
A deflected pass by a linebacker results in a touchdown. Kevin Snow adds the extra point for BC. You've got 28 seconds to go in the first half. Doug Flutie is now 20 of 27 for 238 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And here's one of those touchdowns right here, a play action fake. Again, he's get very good protection, and you're going to see we're smiling watching Doug Flutie, but he's pretty happy about things as well.
We'll be back at the Orange Bowl with Boston College ahead 28-21. Can Bernie Kosar score in 28 seconds?
Well, Brent, he did it against Florida. He had 36 seconds left in the game against Florida, put his team down and brought them down for a touchdown. So the answer is yes.
Here's Snow's kickoff for the Eagles. Darrell Oliver, J.C. Penney are set deep. Penney at the 5. Hit hard at about the 18-yard line.
Watch here is number 20, Phelan. He's the end man on the line now. And number 18, Tolbert Bain, is singled on him. He puts a move on him, breaks to the inside. Tolbert can't quite get there because Flutie gets the ball there, and it's a great catch by Phelan. Tough to single up against these guys.
That tackle on the kickoff was by tight end Peter Casparilla, who has been playing quite a bit here this afternoon because Gieselman has difficulty with an injured thumb, so they have been alternating. He delivered the lick. Now 23 seconds left for Kosar and all those talented wide receivers. Goes to Brown. Out of bounds at the 37-yard line. And at halftime, we're going to be talking about tomorrow's game, our season premiere, the road to Lexington, Kentucky in the Final Four. It's the Cardinals of Louisville against the Hoosiers of Indiana, and that will be followed by Notre Dame and SC. Got a couple of folks in the booth who've got some passions about that game, and we'll talk about it at halftime. Here's Kosar pulling out. A lot of time. Dumps it off incomplete. BC had 3 defensive backs standing back on the 20-yard line. They were not going to let Shakespeare and Brown get behind them.
Well, I'll tell you what, their coach, Jack Bicknell, would be very upset if they did. He has 9 seconds left. He's got 3 timeouts. Obviously, he has to get the ball downfield a deep way to be able to get the ball in field goal position.
Bernie had completed 11 passes in a row before that incompletion. He comes over to the sideline. And while we've got a break here in the action, let's take a look at these 2 campuses, BC and Miami. And those 2 universities also have these 2 fine football teams. Bernie Kosar and the Hurricanes of Miami. With just 7 seconds to go in the half, trying to come back against BC. Complete to Brown inside the 30. Stopped at the 19-yard line with time running out in the half. Thurman was on the coverage. There will not be any time left for the Hurricanes to attempt a field goal after that 45-yard game.
Well, there's only 9 seconds when the ball was snapped. It wasn't quite enough time, but Bernie Kosar did the best thing he could do. He was to be able to get the ball to his big play man, Eddie Brown, hoping that he might be able to break a tackle or make something happen. But good, safe defense by Boston College, number 17, Thurman there, and get some help from teammates, and that's it.
And we'll return to the Orange Bowl after this commercial break and a word from your local station.
Oh, jeez.
BC leading Miami at the half, 28-21. Last quarterback at bat may win this one, Pat Hayden.
Well, we have two very good ones, and you're absolutely right. And Doug Flutie had a very good first half. The statistics were absolutely phenomenal as you get a look at him. 20 of 27, 238 yards, a couple of touchdowns. And who he threw it to, this is the interesting thing, and this is what makes him so difficult to defend. Look at the way he spreads the ball around his wideouts, his running backs. He's hit the tight end a couple of times. Makes him very, very difficult to defend.
This was his first touchdown pass to Kelvin Martin.
And you're right. And Flutie on this drive had hit his tight end a couple of times and his tailback. He comes right back to his big play man, number 82, Kelvin Martin. The free safety was out of position, allowed Martin to get behind him for the touchdown.
And Era, you made a good point about the lack of containment against him.
Well, also, in this particular play, this is one of the few mistakes that Flutie made in this first half, and he scored a touchdown on it. He had his receiver Bell wide open. He elected to go ahead and run the ball, and I'm just thinking in terms of protection of Flutie. He's got a bowl game ahead of him, but he is really a tough little guy. He's quick, but I think he should have thrown the ball that time.
Now, what about the defense against Doug?
I think what I would do if I was Miami, they've got to bring pressure from the outside. I think they've got to keep him contained and bring the people from the middle getting their hands up. I think one of the problems is that he's been able to escape any kind of pressure on one side and come clean on the other, and he's so dangerous he's going to find a receiver.
And what about Bernie Kosar?
Well, things have gone according to plan. As Flutie has done his thing, so has Bernie Kosar, 245 yards. He also has 2 touchdowns, and he has distributed the ball around to a lot of different people. And here's the touchdown to his tight end, Willie Smith, number 84. Remember how big he was? He jumped up in the air. This drive saw Bernie Kosar hit Eddie Brown a couple of times, and then he's found his tight end, big tight end, in the back of the end zone for the score.
Now, how would you stop Kosar, Era?
Well, it's very difficult. They, too, have got to pressure him. I think they've got to come after him, take some chances. He has had too much time to throw the football, and as a result, he's been able to, without any question, complete passes and long, deep ones.
All right. Well, you know, a man who has marvelous remembrances of college football seasons past is Lindsey Nelson. And let's hear from Lindsey now.
If you have followed...
CBS Sports presents college football, sponsored by Chevrolet, who invite you to see, drive, and live today's Chevrolet. AT&T, the more you hear, the better we sound. And by J.C. Penney, you're looking smarter than ever. J.C. Penney.
Set to start the second half. Boston College leading Miami 28-21. Will kick it off. It'll be Kevin Snow to kick for the Eagles. And back deep, J.C. Penney on the right, Darrell Oliver on the left. I expect to see someone named Levi Strauss playing in the other backfield. It'll go out. J.C. fumbled the ball out of bounds. It'll be down right there. So a big mistake. He should have let the ball go out of bounds, assessed the penalty. He knows better than to try to field the ball. It's headed out of bounds right there. The halftime statistics, gentlemen.
Well, there wasn't much defense there. We talk about that a whole 660 yards in total offense. The quarterbacks have played magnificently. The statistics prove that, and only 1 turnover from each team.
Looks like some of my normal work.
That's right.
Oh, we made some adjustments at the half, and it's okay for Hayden to help out on the defense now.
No, I only want the quarterbacks.
Here's a first down for Bernie Kosar and Miami, trailing it by 7. He'll pass from his end zone on first down. Throws underneath to the tight end Smith. Out to the 10-yard line. A little breathing room, Era.
You see all the adjustments that are being made here, discussion right on the sideline. And here's the replay of the pass from Kosar. The secondary is pretty much standard that time. Just an out pattern here. Nobody there to take care of it. We don't see the reception right down here in the corner where the official is.
2nd and 5 for Kosar and the Hurricanes. Bratton and Oliver are his running backs. Penalty marker is down. He hits Smith again for the first down, and it is obvious now that Miami is going to try to utilize the tight end a little bit more, and he is a good one.
With 62 receptions coming in, Brent, you're absolutely right. We saw him catch the touchdown pass in the first half. Remarkable athlete.
Both sides on the defense, decline, push down.
So they move the sticks now for the Canes.
Both these teams use the tight end an awful lot, and I think that's one of the things that have changed in college football over the years. It shows you some of the sophistication in passing attacks in the college ranks now, where college teams can get to the ball to the tight end very successfully.
Ball is at the 16-yard line for Kosar. Oliver on first down. Bangs out to the 32-yard line before David Pereira, the safety, is forced to come up with the stop. That's a gain of 16 and another first down.
Brent, when you throw the ball as effectively as Miami does, you have to be able to run draw plays. It has to be an effective run for you. Here it was. Again, they came back and threw the ball in the first couple of downs here in the second half. Then they come back with a draw play to Darrell Oliver. Take a look at Mike Ruth, number 68 in the middle of the screen. We thought this was going to be an interesting matchup. Ruth against Sinclair. Sinclair wins that battle right there.
Kosar to throw. That's a deep drop. He sets the screen, and that time the BC read it perfectly and banged into Bratton. It was David Thomas, number 50.
That was the first time that Boston College went into what they call tough. Both linebackers walked right up into the guards' faces, and they came and they put pressure on Kosar, man-to-man coverage, and Kosar was not able to set that screen.
And you mentioned, Era, that's one of the adjustments that you felt that BC had to make, was really to get to Kosar, put some pressure on him.
And the rain has returned to the Orange Bowl, starting to come down again. Rained hard here earlier this morning, let up just before kickoff, started to clear late in the second quarter, and now the rain has rolled back in. Kosar with time, throws to Eddie Brown. Brought down at the 40-yard line. It'll be short of a first down. Number 45, Todd Russell there. And a penalty marker is down.
Boy, Kosar really took a shot, but the interesting thing here is watch Eddie Brown. We said how talented he is. What I like about him, Brent, is the way he comes back for the ball. This is a shot throw, but he comes back to make the reception, to greet the ball, catches it with his hands, which is a great sign. But Kosar took an incredible shot here, the punishment that some quarterbacks are going to take after they release the football. And that's what I believe the penalty was all about. The ball is gone. There's the hit, and the official's there to make the call.
John Boza delivered that hit on Bernie.
Roughing the pass, a personal foul against Boston, first down.
As a result of the penalty, the ball is put down on the 47-yard line. 1st and 10, the Hurricanes trailing Jack Bicknell's Boston College Eagles by 7. It's a shootout in Miami, 28-21. To the left. Gets to the 43-yard line. Pereira again being forced to make the stop as the Hurricanes turn the corner.
Obvious audible that time, and he saw that he could log in the contained man on the right side, and they did so, came right around the corner for good yardage.
Interesting thing, you mentioned the audible. Don't you think college quarterbacks now are audibleizing much more so than when I played? And again, were you coaching? We hardly ever audibleized when I was in college.
We audibleized an awful lot.
Well, there goes that theory.
Eddie Brown, who has gone over 1,000 yards receiving with 156 yards today. And of course, pro scouts are thinking about him in terms of a #1 draft choice. He could be the best wide receiver coming out of college football today. And as we have seen several times, he is extremely dangerous after he catches the ball.
Interesting point too, Brent. Had Alonzo Highsmith been healthy and played today, he probably would have been over the 1,000-yard mark rushing Kozar has thrown for nearly 3,000 yards, and you have a receiver who's caught for 1,000 yards. That's a very potent offense. You don't see much of that in high school. And that man is college. That man deserves some credit because he did come here under some very trying circumstances and really has won 8 games against very, very good competition.
Second and just inches. Going to the long count again. Penalty marker comes down. Kozar to throw on second and short. Eddie Brown through his hands and incomplete. Stanley Shakespeare is downfield complaining about interference against Brown.
Let's take a look and see whether or not he was interfered. He was pushed out of bounds. You can see the audible, and they jump offside. He changed the cadence on him. Boston College jumped offside. Here's Kozar throwing it down. Brown went out and then up. And watch right here. Let's see whether or not, well, you can't see. He was forced out of bounds by number 43, Neil Eichen. Right here's another view of it right there. I don't know, no interference there. But he did shove him out of bounds, and he can legally come back.
Doesn't matter because BC was offside, so Miami gets the first down. The ball is at the 38-yard line. Brian Blades is back at one safety for BC. He has just checked in. And again, Kozar changes the play at the line. Quick throw to Smith, incomplete.
Now that's the second time they came into sort of a blitz situation, putting pressure on Kozar. The linebackers are coming.
And Kozar read the blitz, of course, and got the ball to his tight end on a kind of a hot principle there. Mike Ruth, a nose guard from BC. Look at those big arms he has. He tries to loop in. There's a little line stunt there. He comes in free, but a little late on Kozar. But interesting line stunt there by the BC front, trying to put more pressure on Kozar.
Kozar with a 2nd and 10. Reverse with Eddie Brown. They pull the guards inside the 30. First down, out of bounds at about the 24-yard line. Vincent Munn defensively for the Eagles finally caught up with him.
Well, they ran this play earlier in the game to reverse to Eddie Brown with a great deal of success. And the philosophy is if you don't stop it, we're going to keep coming out at you. Look at number 76. Now that's the center, Ian Sinclair, who actually snapped the ball, then got out in front. But a very good play call by Jimmy Johnson. The thing is, if a team doesn't stop the play, go ahead and run it again.
Alvin Ward, number 72, could have been called there for a clip or using illegal use of the hands. He shoved and pushed off.
15-yard gain and another Hurricane first down. Kozar swings to Bratton. All kinds of daylight. Dives down to the 2-yard line and out of bounds. Neil Eaton was there defensively after a run of 22 yards.
BC's defensive philosophy has changed here in the second half. You're going to see the blitz from the inside right there. Both linebackers come up the middle. They want to put more pressure on Kozar. Here's the result, though. He reads it, dumps the ball off to his halfback, Bratton, who pulls a Greg Laganis, gives him a little dive shot right over the top. But a very good read of the blitz by Bernie Kozar. That's good, intelligent offense, I want to tell you.
First and goal for the Canes. Bratton over the top. And this time the touchdown, Miami. Tie the game at 28 as the Canes move 96 yards in only 9 plays. Drive lasted 3 minutes and a second. And it is 28 all in the Orange Bowl.
Melvin Bratton over the top. Remember Spencer Tillman from Oklahoma last year against Nebraska, and how many times have we seen Herschel Walker go over the top? Well, here's Melvin Bratton's chance to go over the right side of the line. Very good surge by the offensive line. But this drive was remarkable. We saw reverses to Eddie Brown. We saw the tight end catch the ball. The ball was thrown all over the field. That's tough to defend.
Oh, what Sylvania light bulb.
An impressive drive error by the Hurricanes.
It really was, and Boston College changed up their defensive philosophy, trying to pressure Kosar. Didn't make any difference. He still picked them. What an offensive show.
Seelig will kick it off. Tied again in Miami. And this one will go out of bounds. And remember, that drive started when J.C. Penney made the mistake down here and handled one that was going out of bounds. And as they mark off the 5 yards, let me again remind you that tomorrow, the season premiere of NCAA college basketball on CBS, the Louisville Cardinals against the Indiana Hoosiers. And after that, it is Notre Dame and USC. Are the Irish headed for Hawaii in a bowl game, regardless of what they do tomorrow, or do they have to win that way?
It was my understanding when I left South Bend that they had to win the ball game to take the Aloha Bowl bid. And that this game is very, very important to them. As I understand it, they're really up, because since 1966, Notre Dame has not beaten the Trojans in the Coliseum.
Will they take the Rose Bowl bid away from the Trojans if they lose tomorrow?
No, but they would have liked to, perhaps, after their performance against UCLA. But they are emotionally ready for the Fighting Irish.
Ball is kicked again from the 35, and it is fielded by Taylor. Breaks out to the 33-yard line, and here's Doug Flutie to handle it for the first time in the second half.
It's a pretty good first half of football.
Don't forget he ran for a third one.
That's right. I used to have a lot of those kind of days, Era. It was against the Fighting Irish, if I remember.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I won't deny that. I can't.
One setback behind Flutie. Steve Strahan. Been in for every snap so far at that position. And Flutie hits Phelan out of bounds at the 40-yard line. They'll throw it on first down, won't they? But an interesting thing about BC, as they prepared for this game, as they will for whomever they meet in the Cotton Bowl, they are much more concerned about their own tendencies during the season than they are about the defensive tendencies. And they spend a lot of hours poring over computer readouts, making sure that a defensive assistant somewhere can't come up with a tendency. But I would say look for Flutie to throw the ball often.
You want to go out on a limb like that, huh?
Here comes Kenny Bell, who is checked in. And Reggie Sutton leads the defense that time. It'll be third down for BC.
It'll be interesting to see whether or not at halftime the Hurricanes have changed their philosophy, whether or not they're going to try to pressure him and contain people, because that's where they were really hurt in the first half. This is a very key play right here. Of course, it's 3rd and 2, but you never know what Flutie's going to do.
It's going to be an interesting formation that Bicknell just signaled into Flutie. He's got 2 wide receivers to the left. He'll bring one in motion and run him out of a slot. Play fake and send his running back out, and then hit the wide receiver. And what a defensive hit delivered by Miami. Incomplete. Phelan couldn't hold on that time.
Ken Calhoun did a beautiful job. Number 2 for the Hurricanes in the secondary. You see Flutie will put the ball right there, but Calhoun comes in, reacts to while the ball is in the air right there, and really puts a hit on Phelan. Woo!
But Phelan bounced right up after that hit. I want to tell you, that is something else.
Does this BC punter ever get to play? Here he is, Steve Peach. He's one of the quarterbacks who will have an opportunity to replace Doug Flutie next year. Those big shoes at that school, isn't it? Eddie Brown is set back deep, comes up with his hand for the fair catch. Ball will be put in play at the 23 when we come back. Hurricanes and the Eagles are tied. This is Hurricane is blowing up there on the Bob Uecker seats here at the Orange Bowl, and down on the field, the Hurricanes have got a chance to blow up a storm and take a lead here if they can march in as they did the first time they handled the ball here in the second half. If you just joined us, Boston College struck for 2 quick touchdowns in the game. The first 2 times they handled the ball, led 14-0 before Kozar, and Miami came back. Bernie to throw it, usually sets a screen when he drops that deep. Drops it to Darrell Oliver, complete. First down and out beyond the 40-yard line.
I want to tell you, Bernie Kozar on this Miami offense can beat you so many different ways. They've thrown the ball downfield, and the defense has to be concerned about that. Then they fake the ball to Darrell Oliver, their tailback. He avoids the rush of Mike Ruth, throws the ball over a defender, and there's Oliver, the man he had faked to, picking up a couple of nice blocks and scooting for another first down. A lot of offense. I'm not sure how you can defend that.
19-yard gain for the Canes. The ball is spotted now at the 43. 10:31 to go. Third quarter. Here's Oliver. Bratton leads him. Penalty marker is down.
Now?
He was stopped for a yard loss, and we'll wait and see what the officials are going to come up here with a penalty. It may be against BC.
You can see here the defensive play, number 95, Dick Gorecki, comes out here fighting off blockers, stepping over them. He gets support from the secondary. There's a good block here by number 50, who was Mike Moore. But there's a penalty.
That line play.
Round up outside.
But there, that was a good shot of the line play, and why Kozar has been successful, because they've given him very aggressive run blocking as well as good protection for him to throw the ball.
You know, he's had 219 yards of negative yardage during the course of the year, and you would think that they would get to him. But Boston College has not gotten to him one time.
As a result of that offside penalty, it is 1st and 5 for the Hurricanes. Ball is at the 47. Kozar to Brown. Incomplete.
Brown can't believe he dropped it. I can't either.
Neither can Kozar. I am incredibly impressed with the speed and the burst of Eddie Brown. It looks like he's not going to catch up to this ball. Kozar, there's a little bit of pressure, but he does step up and throws his ball as far as he can. But there's a burst there by Brown. He tries to adjust. Generally, he's going to catch that ball. The ball's a little bit to the inside. He tries to adjust. He slips and falls. I've seen him make a lot of those catches, but that time the BC defense got a little bit lucky.
As Kozar released the ball, he clapped his hands. He thought it was a quick 6 for sure that time. Brown moves out to the right side. 2nd and 5. We are even. 28 apiece. Complete to Bratton. First down. Inside the 40. 35. Finally run out of bounds at the 29-yard line by Vincent Munn.
Bernie Kozar can take it downtown. A moment ago, we saw that to Eddie Brown, and then he can come right back and finesse you and dump the ball out to the flat to Melvin Bratton, number 5, and let him do his thing. And again, that is why they are difficult to defend. You don't know what you should be dropping back in deep zones or coming up and hugging the backs as they come out of the backfield.
Well, he's got such great peripheral vision that he always picks out the right open receiver.
So far, he's 17 of 24 for 320 yards and 2 touchdowns. So rack up another 300-yard day for Bernie Kozar, who is only a sophomore and will use a timeout and come over to the sidelines. Saw something in that BC defense that he didn't like. Wants to talk it over to his coaches. Bratton is being tended to. We'll be right back.
Did you hear 8?
Melvin Bratton, who was off on the side being tended to when you went to commercial, returned with 9:41 left here in the third quarter, and Boston College and Miami tied at 28. Anytime you use a timeout, it can affect you late in the fourth quarter, and now the Hurricanes have used one of their 3. Again, movement on that long count, and the penalty flag comes down.
This is the adjustment that Bernie Kosar has made here in the second half. He's going on a lot longer counts, Brent. You were right on that. He's changing his cadence. He is drawing a very aggressive defensive front from BC off sides and getting a lot of cheap 5-yard penalties.
And he slows down the pass rush that way also because they can't tee off on the cadence.
Offsides, Boston, first down.
Some of the subtle things that good quarterbacks do. That's one of them. Change the snap count.
Ball is spotted at the 24. This is Oliver to the 19-yard line and another first down. Andy Himmer, the linebacker, brought him down.
These last two drives by Miami have been very, very impressive. We saw a long drive a moment earlier to get the touchdown. Here they're controlling the ball again with some passes and running the football. But the biggest thing is they're keeping Flutie on the bench.
Pat Nera, teams up north who come into the South late in the season sometimes run out of gas down the stretch. Now, this is not a normal day down south, I realize. Not nearly as much humidity as would ordinarily affect the team. But in talking to Jack Bicknell in Boston before they left, he was someone concerned about their stamina.
Well, this is a good, cool day, but what I get the feeling here is that momentum has shifted in this game. Boston College really had it in the first half. Now, Miami seems to have it. They're keeping the Eagles off balance.
First downs this quarter, 8 for Miami and none for Boston College. He'll throw it on first down. Pops it to Oliver, the running back. Inside the 15. You mentioned at the top of the game, Era, that you didn't think the Hurricanes were playing with much enthusiasm. Here in the second half, they are playing with the spark, and BC doesn't have it right now.
Well, you can just feel it. The momentum in this game has shifted. But also that time the Boston College Ball Club tried to blitz again, did not get to Kosar. Kosar went one-on-one again. He just picks out. He seems to have a knack and vision to pick out the right guy.
That time.
I wonder if Jimmy Johnson mentioned anything at halftime about the Maryland second half as well. Perhaps that was one reason they went and discussed that. And he came out with a lot more emotion here in the second half, like you mentioned.
Very good point, Pat, because they were devastated here a couple of weeks ago after leading 31-0, you know, and that can really hurt. And they seemed to be flat when they first started, but they've picked up and they've got everything going their way right now. But you can't count Boston College out of this ball game.
But in this quarter, Boston College has gained only 7 yards to Miami's 129. Third and less than 5, and on the delay, it's Bratton for the first down to the 5-yard line.
I have enjoyed the play selection of both of these coaches all day. 3rd and 5, that's a passing down for Bernie Kosar, right? Well, you're wrong if you guess that, and that's what Boston College guessed. A little draw play to Melvin Bratton, who has the strength to break a tackle or two and pick up a first down. But tremendous play selection by both teams. Well, you talked about the momentum changing. The graphic shows the point.
Well, Boston College has only had the ball once this quarter.
Bratton cut down at the 4. Mike Ruth, number 68. Their splendid nose guard. Got a big arm on him. Now it'll be 2nd and goal. 7-9 left in the 3rd quarter here in the Orange Bowl.
Brent, you're probably seeing the best Hurricane defense right now. with Kosar and company on the field.
Flutie on the bench, you're right.
I knew you'd find a way in the second half.
Yeah, but he's got to stop Kosar too, doesn't he?
Bratton off the pitch behind Oliver, and that time he tried to go in the air and he was just pulled down. And again, Ruth is over there helping out on the defense. Big number 68. What a nose guard he is.
If you see the size of his arms, Brent, they're huge.
Well, is this a passing down, Pat, or a running down?
Well, the last time they were in a third down situation, they ran the draw play. I don't think that's a good call here. I'm expecting to see Kosar throw the ball.
He has that big tight end, Smith. Incomplete. Stanley Shakespeare was the intended receiver.
Bernie Kosar has a very big arm. It looked like he perhaps threw this ball a little bit too hard. He was only a few yards away from number 6, Stanley Shakespeare. He was trying to hit him on a little slant inside the coverage. The ball was actually behind him as well. Stanley Shakespeare had beaten the defense, but not a very well thrown ball by Kosar, really for the first time today.
Greg Cox on the field to attempt a field goal. It'll be a 19-yard attempt by Cox.
I thought it was interesting there. Alvin Ward, number 72, the offensive guard for the Hurricanes, wanted to go for it on 4th down, signaling to the sideline, we want to go get the touchdown.
Kick is up, and the Hurricanes have taken the lead for the first time this afternoon, 31-28. We'll come back with Doug Flutie in Boston College, about ready to go to work. Back with Miami ahead and kicking off now, Mark Seeley. Kicks it into the end zone where it's caught by Taylor. He'll down it there on the touchback. It'll come out at the 20-yard line. Pat Hayden, I guess Doug Flutie just hasn't had a chance here in the second half.
He's only had 3 plays here in the second half. Only had the ball for a minute, and he's been sitting on the sideline now. It's a little bit cold out here, but again, I expect to see Doug Flutie to get himself back into the rhythm of the football game. And remember, he needs to do to Kosar what Kosar has done to him, and that is control the ball, control the clock, keep Kosar on the bench.
His brother Darren Flutie is in. 3 wide receivers on the field for the Eagles in this formation. He goes to the right side. Phelan almost intercepted. That was Reggie Sutton.
Boy, that was a dangerous, dangerous throw that time. The first time that really he has thrown a poor ball. And you'll see here Reggie Sutton, number 1, come in here and almost intercept the ball. He reacts very quickly off balance. He throws it. Sutton comes in. It is a low throw, but Sutton does not hang on. Good defense.
And they put some outside pressure on there on Doug Flutie from Jerome Brown, one of the tackles there. Contain Flutie.
Sean Dombrowski has checked in. They'll run the draw play with Strahan. He gets out beyond the 20-yard line. Jerome Brown made the stop for the Hurricanes.
Well, you can see what has happened in the second half. Momentum has shifted. They've done a great job. Of course, Flutie has only had, this is his second opportunity of possession. And I think they need a play here to get them going again. They need a big play.
Well, it looks like Miami defensively must have been listening to you, Area, because they're containing Flutie from the outside, trying to keep him in the pocket this half.
Ken Bell in. He's slotted to the left. Flutie drops back under pressure. Shovels it off to Strahan, the fullback, who slips. Gets to the 26-yard line, short of the first down. It's 3 downs and out again.
There was the perfect defense that time. They contained from the outside, they blitzed from the inside, and that's the way they kept him right in there. That was Fleming, Bruce Fleming, 58, the linebacker, came in. Watch here.
Pretty good protection there. Contain him from the outside, and then he's going to get the inside pressure right there from number 58, Fleming. This is just precisely the defense, Coach, that you were talking about, that you would use against Flutie.
Steve Peach back deep to punt. Eddie Brown, the return man for the Hurricanes. It's a short punt, fielded at midfield by Kenny Calhoun. And here come Kosar and the Hurricanes. 4:32 to go in the third. Not a good punt, only 24 yards.
Nothing works like a Chevy truck.
As sophomores, Bernie Kosar has now moved to the head of that class, and that includes some sensational players. He has already broken the Miami career record as a sophomore, beating Jim Kelly, of course, who had a lot more playing time down here, although Kelly was injured in his senior season here with the Hurricanes, as I remember. He has gone on to greater glory in the USFL, of course, with Houston. Ball at midfield. Miami leading Boston College 31-28. Williams has checked into the backfield. Kozar to throw on first down. Look to the left. Comes back to the right side on the move. Intercepted. Intended for Stanley Shakespeare. And Todd Russell was over there helping out. So Flutie and BC will go back to work.
Bernie Kozar gives you his Doug Flutie impersonation as he's going to try to avoid the rush. BC is trying to put a little bit more pressure on him. He steps to the outside, and then he makes a kind of a poor decision because the ball, he couldn't get any zip on the ball. And there's Todd Russell, number 45. Now watch him lateral it here to Thurman. Well, one more look. 45, Todd Russell takes the hit. A little impromptu play. He's got a little Doug Flutie in him too as he hands off to Thurman.
First down, ball at the 30-yard line. Flutie will throw it under pressure, complete to his back. Number 23 coming out of the backfield, Troy Stratford, and he gets to the 40-yard line. Will be very close to a first down for the Eagles.
Very, very tough pass to cover because they fake the tailback action, and the tailback goes underneath the zoning linebackers, which is dropped deep to help out on the secondary people, and they just dumped that ball off. We saw a week ago Keith Byers of Ohio State catch a number of passes the same way.
You don't see Kozar make too many throws like that. He's a very bright guy, very careful with the football.
Boston College got the first down, and that is their first down of this half with 4:04 to go in the third quarter. They trail it 31-28. Martin will go out to the left. Ken Bell is in at tailback. He is on the right wing. Now they show double wing. Gieselman cuts back, motion man. Flutie straight back, wants Gieselman, who's got the ball, battles his way to the 45-yard line. Another first down, and the Eagles suddenly are on the move, a 14-yard gain.
Again, the difference in offensive philosophies. There's number 83 who's going in motion. He's going to be the man who catches the ball. That's Gieselman. Again, Boston College uses different formation, uses people in motion, and then Doug Flutie drops back and finds the open man.
I believe I was told that Gieselman's father is the president of the Boston Stock Exchange, and a lot of his relatives have gone to Harvard and the Ivy League schools. Came time for him to choose. He said, I want to play big-time football. I'm going to Boston College. And he has helped lead this school right to the forefront. College football powers, especially in the East. Strahan bangs straight ahead down to the 40-yard line. A gain of 4 yards.
It looks like the momentum now has swung back to BC after the turnover by Miami. The interception by Kozar. Finally, we're seeing a little bit more of Doug Flutie here in the second half.
He's got the ball down to the 40, and this is why coaches absolutely detest turnovers. It just drives you crazy because momentum can shift, all kinds of things can happen, and here we see the Eagles again.
Stratford the tailback. They fake to him. They throw downfield, complete. Inside the 20-yard line that time. As Doug Flutie is now 25 of 34, and he's thrown for almost 300 yards. He hit Phelan, his favorite target.
Watch the coverage here. The toughest thing in the world is to stop a pass like this because Flutie gets the ball there so rapidly. Now he gets right into the seam right there, and the ball is bang right there. I can't believe how quick Flutie gets the ball there. And you see they're inside the 20-yard line.
Mr. Excitement brings him up, Era. Ball at the 19. Martin in motion on the right. Drops it off. Stratford. Brought down at the 16-yard line by Bruce Fleming, a linebacker who's played very well for Jimmy Johnson this afternoon.
Again, here is where Flutie has been so tough down on teams. Most teams have difficulty scoring when they get inside the 20-yard line because the field is compressed. Doug Flutie does not face that problem because he can get the ball to so many different receivers. He also has the added ability of being able to run. We saw him run the ball in the first half for a touchdown.
Two tight ends now. Strahan straight ahead, bangs to the 9-yard line.
Doug Flutie throws the ball on you, scrambles, and then he comes right back and gives the ball to Steve Strahan. This is power football. They had 2 tight ends in the game. They can finesse you, and BC can run some power football at you. They ran for 270 yards last week. That makes them a very good offensive football team.
Boston College is an even 500 on 3rd downs. They're 4 of 8 coming up to their 9th. And now they move ahead of it with that first down. Bang to the 6-yard line with Strahan.
Strahan has been their short yardage man right there. That's the 13th time they've run him in 3rd and 1 situations, and he's made 12 of those. So he is a very, very powerful back for BC, and important to have that short yardage runner in any offense. That's what Miami misses in Highsmith.
They hadn't shown that formation very much earlier in this ball game, where they go 2 tight ends and 2 wideouts, puts pressure on the defense again. They're a multiple offensive football team.
They cut him off to the left, incomplete, and Gieselman, the intended receiver, had slipped cutting back that time.
If Doug Flutie didn't have a quick release, he would have been sacked here. He's trying a little bootleg action. This time he did not fool the Miami defense. He's run this play a couple of times with some success, but he sees an open receiver, Gieselman, number 83, and a quick release here, and the way he falls back, he doesn't take the hit, and he doesn't take the sack, and that's an important play for Doug Flutie.
Very good point, Pat, because they got 2nd down now at the 5 instead of 2nd and 10 or 15.
And it's really raining now.
Flutie sprints to the left. Now he's going to come back. Now he's going to go back to the left. Throws it out of bounds.
They're calling it.
That should have been
Miami complaining about intentional grounding on that play.
That should have been a grounding call. The official said the ball was tipped, though. And if the ball is tipped, there looked to be no receiver in the area, but the official said the ball was tipped, thus it wasn't intentional grounding.
But you can see what happens when the contain stays there. They kept driving him back farther and farther and farther. Even though they didn't get him, he had a longer throw to make. The timing was off. And that's what they have to do.
Stratford unwisely laterals the ball to the Hurricanes, but they're going to whistle it dead. He was wrapped up by George Myra Jr., one of the biggest names in Miami football history. Is his father, George Myra, who was the original scrambling small Hurricane quarterback down here. And his son read this play perfectly.
Doug Flutie's personality is infectious, because Troy Stratford does this thing he really should do, and that is try to lateral the ball and make something there when it's not. But it's a surprising call, a draw play there on down on a 3rd and 5 situation. I mean, not a draw play, a screen pass was a surprising call by BC.
Kevin Snow to attempt a 29-yard field goal. If good, will be tied again. It's good. 5 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. And it is Boston College 31, Miami 31.
Brett, I thought basketball game was tomorrow.
Let's go back on that play call, Era, that point that Pat made. What'd you think about that?
Well, he tried to get a screen out there. It was a very, very tough call, but with his ability, and I'm talking about Flutie's, I'd get people in the end zone because he can get the ball there so quickly. And if not, then go ahead and take the 3 points.
Right, a screen call down there, there's nowhere for the defense to drop, though. That's why I was questioning the call. The really screen call, you use it in a zone defense. When the defense drops back deep, you dump it off to a back and let him run. But down in the 10-yard line, that's a tough part of the field to run it.
Well, let me remind everybody that the weekend continues tomorrow, of course. Notre Dame, USC, college basketball. Then on Sunday, the NFL Today, 12:30 Eastern time. We're going to take a look at those Gold Dust twins, 49er Gold Dust twins, if you will. Wendell Tyler and Roger Craig. And they are the men who have given Joe Montana a very lethal running attack. Then our doubleheader. The key first game is Philadelphia-St. Louis. The doubleheader games are the 49ers New Orleans and the Chicago Bears against the Minnesota Vikings. Jimmy Johnson and the Hurricanes now will run out the clock here in the third quarter, and then they will get possession to start the fourth. And this has been a wild and woolly one. This one's tough on coaches' stomachs, if you will.
And tough on defensive backs. I'm not sure I want to be one of those.
And also consider the fact that all these things have happened with the conditions as they are. The wind is blowing, the rain is coming down, they're throwing it around like it's a dry field.
Oliver breaks free, and that's the end of the quarter. And we'll return to Miami for the final quarter after this commercial break and a word from your local stations. The fourth quarter about to begin in the Orange Bowl. I'm Brent Musburger, along with Pat Hayden and Ara Parsigan. And you are watching one of the more entertaining college football games of the year. With the rain coming down in the Orange Bowl, the Hurricanes of Miami and the Eagles of Boston College are tied at 31 apiece. Bernie Kosar, the sensational sophomore, now trying to bring the Hurricanes on. And right away he goes to Warren Williams, number 24, who bolts out to the 30-yard line. And Pat Hayden, what about the strategy now that will unfold here in the fourth?
Well, I think this BC defense has to be careful of not giving Bernie Kosar a cheap touchdown. We saw Eddie Brown, number 40, their excellent wide receiver, get behind them earlier in the game. Force Kosar to go the distance, no easy touchdowns, and get Doug Flutie the ball back. Put it in his hands.
Williams and Bratton are the running backs behind Kosar. This is Bratton on the sweep to the right. Inside the 40, almost to the 45-yard line for a first down for Miami. Doug Flutie awaits his turn.
I think they expected Kosar to go back and throw, and here's the second run. Watch Bratton come off tackle, gets beautiful blocking right here. The wide out comes in. I think that was Brown, wasn't it, that came in, number 40? Made a good block, and Bratton comes up with good yardage.
Well, that's impressive when you see Eddie Brown come down and make a block like that, because 5-yard runs become 20 and 30-yard runs when you get a downfield block.
15 more yards for Bratton gives him 66 for the game. Bratton flares to the left. Kosar under pressure. Try to hit Bratton, who ad-libbed, incomplete, dropped the ball. Mike Ruth was putting pressure on Kosar and running him down in that situation. Look at that middle guard as you see the pass distribution of Kosar.
Well, again, we've talked so much about this, but that's why we're seeing a 31-31 ball game, because you can't really say, hey, I'm going to stop a wideout or I'm going to stop a running back, because the minute you try to double up on someone, Bernie Kosar finds the other open receiver.
And rolling to the left, he really made an excellent throw. He put it right there.
The yardage today, and neither quarterback has been sacked. They're so good at escaping trouble. The frustration of Ruth that time as he tried to run Bernie into the ground. Here on 2nd and 10, Kosar to put that time, they got him. The first sack of the game. John Bosa.
He had Brown open. I was watching downfield here, and just as he was getting ready to throw, the first sack of the day on Kosar.
Well, here's a situation where BC wants to get the ball back in Doug Flutie's hands, and here they're going to come after Bernie Kosar for the first time today. The protection breaks down a little bit. Kosar, it was good coverage. Kosar had to hold on the ball an awful long time. Bozar was there to make the sack.
3rd and 21. They worked a stunt that time. They got that big middle guard, Ruth, working a trick over there on the outside. And the left side of the Hurricane offensive line could not handle the two big men. Kosar needs 21 yards for the first down. Sends it to his tight end. He's got him. Smith for the first down. Inside the 45-yard line. What a clutch play.
This is unbelievable. Really unbelievable. Mike Smith, the tight end, he caught 12 passes in last week's game. It is a 3rd and 21 situation. The last person you're thinking about is getting the first down is your tight end, who you don't think tight ends have that kind of speed. Well, Willie Smith does. And again, a beautiful throw, because there was pretty good coverage there by the BC defense. Willie Smith is the tight end. They're playing loose on a 3rd and 21 situation. In the middle of the screen comes Smith, the tight end. Boom. There it is for just, he got what, 22, 23 yards, picked up the first down.
Ball at the BC 44-yard line. 12:32 left in the game. Kosar throws back. Intercepted, I believe. Yes, it was. Hold on. Romanowski dove for the ball and came up with it for Boston College.
Here's a second interception. We've seen Bernie Kosar throw here in the second half, but there's been pretty good coverage here by the BC secondary. He tries to drill the ball in, and there's Romanowski, number 53, who made a nice catch in front of Eddie Brown. The turnovers, Era, you said the turnover could be the difference.
And you know, the thing that impressed me about the BC defense that time is they could have been discouraged after that 3rd and about 20. They came right back with an interception.
Now Flutie and the Eagles go back to work. The ball is on their own 33-yard line. Strahan running, has an alley on the left side. Gets across the 40-yard line. Reggie Sutton over there helps get him out of bounds for the Hurricanes.
We talked about Bernie Kosar's pass distribution a moment ago. Let's take a look at Doug Flutie again. 12 to the running backs, the wideouts. He hasn't hit the tight end as much as he has in the past. The tight end position has had 42 receptions coming in to today's ball game. If you're Miami's defense, you're going to be more concerned about the outside receivers. Force Flutie to get the ball to his tight end.
Ken Bell checks in at tailback. Fake to him. Flutie goes downfield to Phelan, who's wide open. Inside the 20, the 15, down to the 7-yard line before Reggie Sutton finally rolled him to the ground. A 51-yard pass play as the Magic Man Doug Flutie has done it again, and Jack Bicknell is right back with the next formation.
You called him the Crown Prince at the top of the show. Right there down the bottom of the screen, number 20, Gerard Phelan. A little bit of room given by number 1. Great move there by Phelan as he faked the post pattern, ran to the out. Reggie Sutton, number 1, doesn't really do a very good job of recovering. And there is number 19, Fullington, the free safety, to come over and help make the play. Great move there by Phelan, though.
He just faked Sutton right out.
Right.
I mean, Sutton had no chance. He put a move on him. No way he could catch up with him.
Rain driving down here at the Orange Bowl. They go to the tailback, and Stratford is driven out of bounds. It'll be 2nd down for Flutie and Boston College.
But would you be playing man coverage against Doug Flutie? I'll tell you what, I'm not sure I would against a guy like Flutie.
Well, Pat, I think you got to mix it up. He is such a dangerous guy. You got to try to hide the coverages and mix it up as much as you can. That time, Sutton did not play it particularly well. I mean, he really should have squeezed him a little better. But he thought Phelan was going to go clear across the field, and he started in pursuit, and Phelan made that move, broke to the outside, and, of course, a beautiful throw by you-know-who.
Bell in at tailback. Stratford out. This is Bell. Slants to the right and runs for the corner. Inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. And Darrell Fellington rides him down. It'll be 3rd and goal for the Eagles and Flutie.
Well, the defense has really got to come up with a big play here to force a field goal. They can't afford a touchdown. We're in the 4th quarter here. They did rise to the occasion the last time, but I don't know whether or not you can go man on man on this in this defense.
And a tough call here for Doug Flutie. It is a 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line. If I were Doug Flutie, I'd want him on the perimeter of the defense, roll him out, give him as many options as he can have.
Off to the tailback, who is stopped short, and the Eagles are apparently going to have to settle for another field goal, and it was George Myra Jr. with another big defensive play.
I want to tell you, though, that is a surprising call for me by BC on 3rd and 3.
I'll tell you, I'm pleased that they, defensively, the Hurricanes ought to be pleased that Flutie didn't have the ball to throw. They were able to stop this run. He tried to weave it back to the inside off the tailback action, but I'll tell you this, they'd have been nervous if Flutie had the ball with all the time and his ability to throw. I think I would have thrown that football.
Kevin Snow to attempt the 19-yard field goal that would put BC ahead of Miami. It's good. With 9 minutes and 46 seconds, Doug Flutie and Boston College lead Bernie Kosar in Miami 34-31. We'll be right back.
When San Francisco won the Super Bowl, they did it on Joe Montana's arm. This year, they have the running of Wendell Tyler and Roger Craig, the 49ers Gold Coast twins. I'll have that story Sunday on the NFL Today.
9:46 left here in the BC-Miami game. How about that third down call? Let's go back again. And Pat, you were surprised. Arrow, what about you?
Same way, I was surprised. If I was the Hurricanes, I would be pleased with that. Look at that Myra come in there and smother him.
BC kicks it off now. J.C. Penney. 15, 20, 25. Out of bounds at the 29-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 for Bernie Kosar and the Hurricanes.
Psychologically now here, Brent, Bernie Kosar's come back from the last 2 possessions and thrown interceptions. Now, when you're a quarterback, that affects your psyche. He was a very confident quarterback earlier in the football game. Interesting to see how he responds to those interceptions.
Pat, overall, he's 19 of 30 for 347 yards. Those 2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns. Flutie's at 342 and a pair of touchdowns.
And he has not hit one wide out this second half. And he did in the first half for 205 yards.
Williams is the tailback. Kosar to put it up on 1st down. For Eddie Brown, who comes up with a great catch at the 48-yard line.
You know, Brent, you generally don't see great hands on outstanding speed, man. Number 40 at the bottom of the screen there is Eddie Brown. He does have outstanding speed, but he's made some remarkable catches with his hands today away from his body. He slips, he gets back up, he's cat quick, he makes the reception, he falls down and still stays in bounds. That's a remarkable play by Eddie Brown,
who has caught 7 passes for 175 yards. 1st and 10 for Kosar and the Hurricanes. Here's Bratton trying to get around the right side, and he's got daylight. Cuts back inside the 30, through the 20, 10. What a touchdown run by Bratton. Filling in for their best running back, Alonzo Highsmith, who was injured and lost for the remainder of the season. What is so remarkable about that is that he has been the durable back all game long, and he had enough left to go 52 yards for the touchdown, 13 carries, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the day. Now the extra point attempt. Greg Cox sends it through.
Brent, you're right. It really is amazing watching Melvin Bratton. Remember, we've seen him in the short yard jump over the top. He's 205 pounds. It makes you think that he is a short yardage runner. He shows you some strength there, but then he's going to show you a couple of moves, and then finally his speed as he outruns 3 defenders. Remember, 205-pound man who's made some excellent short yardage runs goes 52 yards for the touchdown.
Miami leads at 38-34. We'll be right back. Flutie's turn. It can't get any better than this, can it? 9:03 to go.
What a game. It's dynamite.
Over 1,000 yards in total offense.
I predicted 900.
Now remember, there's a 4-point Miami lead. So Boston College has to be thinking touchdown and not necessarily field goal at some point. They kick it into the end zone, and Taylor's coming out. Let's take one more look at Bratton's great 52-yard touchdown run.
Watch number 50, who is Dave Thomas, get blocked by Warren Williams, and he sets Braxton free. Watch him break to the outside. Right there's the block. He almost gets him, almost recovers, and then it's all over, as we have seen. Makes a great fake there on Todd Russell, cuts clear across the field, and his speed does it, as Pat Hayden pointed out. Great run. The thing that's surprising to me, and we'll get back to this right after this play, Brent.
Rain driving down here, but the fans are not moving. They're just adding another raincoat. Flutie to put it up on 1st down. Penalty marker is down. He'll take off on the scramble. Gets to the 25-yard line. George Myra Jr., who's all over the field, was there on Flutie, but again, there is a penalty marker.
Brent, the point that I was going to make is that right after this, is during our research, the Miami offensive coaches were not too concerned about the loss of Alonzo Highsmith. And we thought, well, wait a minute, you know, you
1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah, and all of a sudden now we all understand why.
Bratton has filled in very well, don't you think?
He has indeed. Melvin Bratton of the Miami Hurricanes. 6'2", 205 pounds out of Miami. He is only a freshman, and he has contributed to that total offense record that we've got moving. 1,029 yards.
I'll tell you, the defensive coordinator is going to have a lot of film to watch tomorrow.
They're going to go past the Dow Jones.
Here's the 1st and 5 after the penalty. Flutie with time. Throws it complete to Phelan. Out to the 40-yard line for a first down.
But you see here, Arrow, we talked about there was no inside rush there on Doug Flutie. Yes, they're containing him in the pocket, but they're not going to putting any inside pressure on Doug Flutie. It allows him to step up into a wide open pocket. Watch him step up. Nobody's there in the middle. Right there. Plenty of room to find Phelan, number 20. They're going to have to contain him from the outside and then put an inside rush on Flutie.
Bruce Fleming, number 58, was a little late coming back on that play, and there was too big a seam between the deep defenders and the linebackers.
We have an injured player down on the ground for Miami, and we'll come back and update that story for you. Phelan has caught 9 passes for 153 yards. Time remaining here in the Orange Bowl with Miami leading Boston College by 4 points. Reggie Sutton of Miami was the injured player. He walked off the field under his own power. Benny Blades has come back in at safety for the Hurricanes. And they run Stratford on first down, and he gets another one. Now remember, the Eagles have not scored a touchdown this half. 2 field goals. And Doug Flutie this afternoon against that Hurricane defense. I'm going to tell you, our statistician, Mike Swanson, has had to work overtime with these 2 guys.
You know, if Doug wins the Heisman, let's take a look at Bernie Kosar. He's had an awfully big day as well. A few more passing yards.
Did you say if?
Yeah, I was going to say when he does. You know, I got a quiz for you guys. Who was the shortest Heisman Trophy winner ever?
Pat Sullivan.
Wrong. Davey O'Brien. TCU.
Davey O'Brien. Right. Good question.
All right.
Ball at the 48. 1st and 10. Flutie in trouble. Scrambles out of it. Gets to the 43-yard line. Kevin Fagan brought him down there. Can you imagine how tired a defensive player is right now for Miami, having to chase Flutie as much as they've had to do here this afternoon?
Well, you bring up a very good point, because you do expend more energy on defense. That's why you always hear coaches say they want to keep their defense off the field. Coaches say you expend more energy on defense, particularly when you're rushing a passer.
And Flutie has rushed himself 5 times for 45 yards. Rain continuing to drive down here in Miami. And I would say that this field is held up remarkably well. Strahan, the runner, is dumped just inside the 45. It'll be 3rd down right there, and 7 yards to go for Boston College.
We have not seen Boston College use as much motion era as they did in the first half. Remember, they had a couple of good motion plays where they brought their tight end Gieselman in motion, hit him a couple of times for some first downs.
This era could be one of the more important plays of the afternoon.
Right, keep in mind it's a 4-point spread. A field goal will not put them in the lead.
Flutie to throw on it. Complete for the first down to Phelan. Inside the 20. Brought down at the 17-yard line. He is amazing.
Let's take another look at this. Somehow or other, Phelan gets into the seam. He's lined up at the left end here, the split end. He goes down the field. Number 1 is Sutton's back in there again. He works to the outside, just an out pattern. There it is. You can see the linebacker slipped and fell, and he had no sheltering cover there.
Remember, Phelan worked on number 1, Reggie Sutton, a little earlier in the ball game and caught that big corner route.
That's the 10th catch by Phelan for 178 yards. They run Stratford. He gets to about the 12-yard line on that first down carry. what he has accomplished. Doug Flutie's roommate back at Chestnut Hill, that lovely suburb of Boston, where Boston College sits. Tip O'Neill, a graduate of that school, is here in the Orange Bowl watching the action today. They recently named a library after him there, and some of the students are saying they should have named that Flutie Library. All he has done for Boston College in the last few years. Oh, it's just remarkable what one man has done for a school's football fortunes. Here is 2nd and 5 now for the Eagles. Strahan bangs down to the 10. Arrow, one of the concerns about Jack Bicknell and the Eagles right now has to be the clock. Not only scoring, but you really don't want to give Bernie Kosar too much time.
Well, they've got a 3rd down and about 2 yards to go. This is a big play. It'll be interesting to see how Miami deploys on this, whether or not they go to a goal line defense, as you say, Jack Bicknell signaling the formation. The play is carried in, as you pointed out, Brent, but the formation is dictated by the coach.
But really, BC has 2 downs here to make 2 yards, because remember, it is a 4-point ball game.
Doug Flutie has just used his first time out of the 2nd half. That leaves the Eagles with 2 and the Hurricanes with 2. We're coming back to the Orange Bowl in just a minute. Coach Jack Bicknell and his quarterback, Doug Flutie, still going over the strategy. It's 4:36 to go in the game. It is 3rd and 2 for the first down. The ball is at the 10-yard line.
I don't know whether I heard Flutie say drag underneath, whether he's going to bring somebody underneath. It seemed like I heard that. Let's see whether or not they come in here with a pass with a drag from one side to the other.
Ken Bell is one of his running backs. He moves up to the wing on the right side. Sprints to the right. Has a receiver in front of him. He's got him. Run out of bounds. Inside the 5-yard line. Kenny Calhoun was the defender against Strahan. They used the fullback coming out of the backfield.
Tremendous pressure here by Miami. He had 82, Kelvin Martin, wide open for a touchdown, but he was able to outrun the defense, dumped the ball off for Strahan. Watch 82, Kelvin Martin. Now, he was going to be open here for a touchdown, but Flutie is under so much pressure, he had to get the ball to Strahan, and he picked up a 1st down. They have 1st and goal.
Flutie is 31 of 42 for 392 yards. Strahan gets close to the goal line. But the only folks signaling touchdown were the Eagles. Nobody in a zebra suit down there threw up his arms. It'll be 2nd and goal after that 1st down pass from Flutie to Strahan. Kosar will have 3 minutes and maybe 30 seconds to work with.
That's enough time.
Over the top for the touchdown. Boston College takes the lead. Strahan, the fullback, the workhorse of that backfield.
Look at Steve Strahan. He is their short yardage runner. He gets a nice surge from the right-hand side of the line, rolls his shoulders, breaks the plane of the end zone. But the drive was, again, classic Doug Flutie as he came out on that critical 3rd and 3 down. They tried to blitz him. He got away from the pressure and picked up a 1st down, setting up the touchdown.
Penalty markers go down. Kevin Snow was getting ready to add the extra point.
Well, the big play on that drive, in my opinion, was the Phelan catch. Here's another shot of the touchdown, but the way they got there was that pass, that key pass to Phelan, which was the big play.
Phelan has done it all game long, catching 10 passes for 175 yards. Strahan up over the top for the touchdown.
I want to tell you, this is a very important extra point here by BC to put them up by 3. He's missed 3 extra points this year, Brent.
Snow is the kicker. It's good. Boston College leading by 3. 3:50 to go, and Kozar's at bat. Time remaining in the Orange Bowl. So in the third quarter, they kept the ball out of Doug Flutie's hands. But now in the fourth quarter, Kozar has had the ball for only 3 minutes and 19 seconds. And the most important moments of the fourth quarter for Bernie Kosar are coming right now. BC with the lead, kicks it off, and J.C. Penney, the return man, comes to the 20-yard line. And a reminder, of course, that our action continues here this weekend on CBS tomorrow. The season premiere, the return of NCAA basketball. Louisville against Indiana, 1 p.m. Eastern time. The road to Lexington's underway. Then that game is followed by the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame against the Trojans of USC. Gary Bender out in Los Angeles will describe that one at 3:30 Eastern time tomorrow on CBS. Darrell Oliver has come back in at running back along with Bratton. Bratton has been the running star here this afternoon. They run the end around, and here's Eddie Brown, and the Eagles were ready that time. David Piera, 41, read the play beautifully, came up and made the hit on Brown.
And 2 times earlier, Miami had run that reverse for big yardage. This time, Pereira stayed at home, was disciplined enough there to make the play. You know, as I think about this game, Brent and Era, it reminds me more and more about that Orange Bowl game a year ago, Nebraska versus Miami. You know, this kind of score, this kind of drama.
And that resulted in a national championship for Bernie Kosar and the Hurricanes. 2nd and 11. The penalty marker is down. Kosar for Shakespeare, driven out of bounds at the 35, but there was a penalty flag thrown on the play. The right tackle of the Hurricanes appeared to lift his right hand just a count or 2 early, and it is going to go against Miami.
Well, it's going to back Miami up too.
That's a big penalty right there, because that would have been a first down. Now they're going to have 2nd down and 15. I think if I was Boston College, I think I would deploy into a zone. Make them go the hard way. If you go man-to-man or go after...
Against Miami. 2nd down.
Go after them, you could really get burned for a big one.
I know it's a cliche to say this during a great game, but it is a shame to see either of these teams lose this game. Bernie Kosar has been magnificent for Miami, and what more can you say about Doug Flutie? Next week he's going to close out his regular season career at Boston College against Holy Cross. They're going to jet him to New York. He'll go down to the Downtown Athletic Club, and of course he'll pick up his Heisman Trophy. Kosar, there's another penalty marker down. He's got his tight end Smith for an apparent first down. But let's wait and see what the penalty marker is. Neil Eiton with the coverage for the Eagles.
Era, you had the right call here, I think, in having BC's defense lay back and throw things in front of you. The BC people believe it's against Miami.
Ineligible receiver downfield, and another costly penalty.
Well, we talked at the beginning of the show, Brent. Remember how many penalties that Miami has had this year? 84. This is what they've had 4 or 5 penalties today.
And that's a loss of down also. That puts it 3rd down and long yardage. They're really in a jam right now. They need a big play.
And if they have to give the ball up, Doug Flutie is going to get very good field position.
Pat, they have been penalized 7 times for 55 yards. Just the point you've made.
But those last 2 penalties were crucial. They had first down situations on both of them. And no reason on a pass you should have an illegal receiver down the field.
Ball is back at the 10-yard line with 2:47 to go. And it's going to be 3rd down and 21. They have faced one previous 3rd and 21 in this game and hit the tight end Smith for 23. Kosar pulls out into the end zone. Flushed. Throws back over the middle to Oliver. Darrell Oliver gets back short of the original line of scrimmage. Neil Eiton, number 43, defensively there for the Eagles.
It looked like he was going to make it, though, didn't it, there for a minute? They say Bernie Kosar is not the most mobile guy in the world, but he knows how to buy himself a little bit more time. You're going to see him get out of the pocket now. He knows he's in the end zone here. He knows potentially it's 2 points. But he does get out. He has the vision. He picks up a nice block, buys himself a little bit more time, dumps it off to Oliver with 20 yards. And he's going to pick up a nice block here on the outside, Oliver is. And they're just short of the first down. Ball was down.
Time remaining, 2:19. Miami will go for it on 4th down. We'll be back with that play in a moment. No question about our Chevrolet players of the game. For Miami, of course, it's Bernie Kosar. And for Boston College, it is Doug Flutie. So a check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated by Chevrolet to each college's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. And what a performance these athletes have given us here this afternoon. 2:19 left. It's 41-38. Boston College over Miami. 4th down. Bratton's got the first down. Gets out to the 35-yard line. Down to 2:15, and Jimmy Johnson and the Hurricanes with a chance against Jack Bicknell and the Eagles.
BC goes with their bread and butter. That's Melvin Bratton, who's been a strong runner all day over the right side. Dave Heffernan, his tackle, gave him a nice block. It was a 4th and 1 situation. Bratton is strong enough to pick up the first down.
Remember earlier, Eddie Brown got open deep and dropped a certain touchdown pass. He is split out to the right side. Stanley Shakespeare is to the left. Kosar wants Brown. Has it near midfield. It'll be another first down. Todd Russell, who intercepted a big pass for the Eagles, was there with the coverage.
The footwork of Eddie Brown. Big rush there on Kosar, but he has the strength in his arm. And again, once more, Eddie Brown comes back for the football. So many receivers don't do that, and those result in interceptions. But Brown does come back and catch it with his hands.
He's caught 8 for 190 yards. A certain top draft choice in the National Football League. Late in the day, and with the rain having pelted down, it is difficult for Kosar to set himself and throw as hard as he'd like to. Brown makes a cut on the right-hand side. They got him right now at the 41-yard line. Tony Thurman with the coverage.
Great players play great in big games, and that's what this is. This is a big game, and you're seeing some great play by number 40, Eddie Brown, as well as Bernie Kosar, and a whole host of people out there. A little curl in, he beats you deep, he beats you on out routes, then he comes back with a little curl route. Very difficult to defend the man.
Minute 33 on the clock, and they're measuring out to see if they have the first down. And Brown has 200 of the total 1,153 yards.
You know, Aaron, I'm surprised that BC hasn't put somebody over Brown's head really to slow him up at the line of scrimmage. He's been running off the line of scrimmage free. Maybe they ought to put a linebacker out there or something to slow him down.
You know, I think the fans are seeing two of the best college football teams from a passing standpoint and receiving standpoint that I've seen in a long time.
Perhaps in the history of the game. Brown is still split out to the right, but Kosar's looking left this time. Throws underneath, and that is Bratton. Inside the 30, down to the 26-yard line. An amazing run by Bratton. Thurman finally brings him down.
I think one of the interesting things, they doubled up on the wide receivers, and immediately Kosar goes right now to the single coverage guy, goes to Bratton right there. And the double guys, he lets go. And watch Bratton run, put the moves on. Tremendous football player, and he's a replacement for Alonzo Highsmith.
Oh,
not a bad replacement.
Yeah.
Kosar now at 425 yards passing for the game. Backs up on first down. Throws incomplete. Wanted his tight end Smith that time. Romanowski, the linebacker, was there on the coverage for Jack Bicknell. Here in the Orange Bowl, a minute to go in one of the most exciting games of the year, with Boston College leading the Miami Hurricanes 41-38. BC headed for the Cotton Bowl. Miami to the Fiesta Bowl. 2nd and 10. Kosar hit, goes to the end zone, overthrows Stanley Shakespeare.
It was overthrown on Stanley Shakespeare, but it would have been a touchdown but there was pretty good pressure put on Kosar by the Mike Ruth and some of the other the defensive line of BC. That's what caused him to overthrow Shakespeare.
Gorecki was among those defensive players coming in hard that time. 3rd down and 10. Inside of a minute. Ed Brown now goes to Kosar's left. Shakespeare is to the right. Brown. 1st down when the tackle is missed. And Eddie battles his way to the 5-yard line. Incredible effort with Thurman hanging on.
At the top of the show, we said Bernie Kosar was going to get the ball to the wide receivers, and unless you put a linebacker over his head, he's going to keep throwing this out route to Eddie Brown. He's caught at least 5 out routes, and then you're going to see the tremendous determination and effort by Eddie Brown as he makes a tackle, and there's somebody there. Thurman is hanging on as Eddie Brown is getting everything he can out of the reception.
For the game, Eddie Brown has caught 10 passes for 220 yards. We'll be back. An incredible performance by Eddie Brown. Watch him here as he gets away first from Neil Iton. Then Thurman will come up, grasp him by the ankle and pull back, and Brown battles his way to the 5-yard line. May have stretched a ligament. He left the field, though, under his own power, and he has given the Hurricanes an opportunity to pull this one out. 46 seconds to go. Doug Flutie and Boston College watching now as their defensive teammates try to shut down Bernie Kosar. Here is Oliver running to the left, gets up to about the 2-yard line. 30 seconds left in the game. Miami is down to its last timeout, remember. They have used 2 of their 3. And that'll be all of their timeouts. They have just called number 3. I think a rather positive statement about what he wanted to do.
I think he wants to run the ball right at them. However, he's got no timeouts remaining in 30 seconds. If he's going to do that, he needs to call 2 plays in the huddle.
That's exactly right. And they've got plenty of time to run 2 plays.
Rain coming down hard again. Kosar on the afternoon is 25 of 38 for 447 yards. Miami will attack with 3 tight ends. Willie Smith, of course, is the lead one. Bratton and Oliver are set there. Bratton to the end zone. Afternoon by Bratton. 16 carries for 134 yards, 4 touchdowns. This one, of course, the most important with 28 seconds on the clock. Miami has moved up by 3, and obviously this extra point would put touchdown pressure on Boston College with only 28 seconds to go.
Boston College has 2 timeouts remaining. It is not impossible. That's Alvin Ward Let's take a look at the touchdown by Melvin Bratton. We've seen 4 or 5 short yardage plays each time. They've given the ball to Bratton, and he's dived over the top here. Good surge by the offensive line that allowed him to do that.
He really didn't have to dive. I mean, there was a hole there as you look at it again.
Well, they did what Kosar wanted to do.
they listened to Bernie, didn't they? But this was the culmination of an interesting drive. Remember the great effort we saw by Eddie Brown on the reception on the play before this. The great determination of Bernie Kosar and Melvin Bratton on a couple of runs before that. And the blocking of the offensive line. Watch the surge there. You're right, there is a big hole there. He doesn't have to jump. He made up his mind in the huddle, it looked like. But nonetheless, he's in the end zone.
Mike Moore was the blocker. The extra point is added. And it's 45-41 as Miami moves 79 yards in 12 plays. The drive took 3:22. And there's nothing but heartbreak for the Eagles, who have played so courageously here this afternoon.
Keep in mind, there was a 4th down and a short yardage situation in that drive. And, you know, things can happen. You can slip. You can have a mishandle of the ball. That was a very critical play there also.
Now, don't count that man out yet, though, either. He has 2 timeouts remaining. I know he's in tough odds, but he's got 2 timeouts left.
That's right. You can't count that fella out right there.
First thing they want is a good return on this kickoff. They want to give him some decent field position to work with.
Or don't return it and waste time on the clock.
On CBS, of course, Dukes of Hazzard, Dallas, and Falcon Crest. That all coming your way. CBS Evening News is too, along with Dan Rather. That's still ahead of us, unless we play for another hour and a half here.
That's right.
Tyrone Taylor and Steve Williams will be set deep for the Eagles.
Era, would they squib it here, you think, to try to upset a return?
No, I think he'll kick it. I think he'll try to get it downfield. They don't want to give him field position. Plus, he's got the wind.
It'll be at the 20-yard line. 28 seconds for Doug Flutie and the Eagles. What a game this has been. 1,193 yards of offense. 649 for Miami. 544 for Boston College.
Do you like my defense?
Nice job. You're the defensive coordinator. You're fired.
Flutie picks up Stratford. And there's a penalty flag down. They get out to the 39. They'll get the clock stopped at 20 seconds.
BC rushes 3 and drops 8 here, which is obviously what you want to do in 30 seconds. But Troy Stratford is out on a wing. He is normally a halfback. Again, Flutie just finds the area where Stratford is in. Stratford is doing his best to try to get out of bounds.
Penalty against Miami was declined. So on the 19-yard gain, the ball is spotted at the 39. Flutie now goes over 400 yards with that pass. 4:11 on the afternoon. And he's not finished. Flutie gets it out of bounds. Gieselman is tied in. Cross midfield. 12 seconds left on the clock after that 13-yard gain. The chains move, of course, for another first down. Boston College has not used either of their 2 timeouts. Remember that the clock stops on a first down in college football. 12 seconds to go. And Doug Flutie is within 48 yards. Got time. Incomplete. Intended for Peter Casparilla, a tight end coming across at the 32-yard line. And now Doug Flutie is down to his last at bat.
I really think Flutie's got to throw this ball into the end zone or down around the 5-yard line in hopes of, if they don't get the completion, a possibility of an interference. Game cannot end on a defensive penalty, so they would have another play. So I think he's got to put it up down and deep in the end zone.
Maybe a design scramble to allow him to find some time.
Penalty marker is down. Play is stopped. One thing is certain. Those brave folks who sat out here in the Orange Bowl and put up with this terrible weather saw a whale of a football game, and they should give both teams a rousing ovation when this one is over.
This is one of the better ones that I've seen.
Receivers out to the right. Flutie flushed. Throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it. It's a touchdown. The Eagles win it.
Unbelievable.
I don't believe it. Phelan is at the bottom of that pile. Here comes the Boston College team. He threw it into the end zone. There was no time left on the clock. The ball went between two defensive backs of Miami. Jack Bicknell is the only person over there on the sidelines. He couldn't get the headset off fast enough. Doug Flutie has done it. And your heart goes out to Bernie Kosar, who did everything he could. And like we said, it went down to the last at bat. And Flutie and Boston College have won it.
He's asking where Kosar is.
This is one of the most remarkable football games I have ever seen.
The last play. Doug Flutie is here. First of all, he gets excellent protection by his offensive line. He's going to scramble a little bit, but the Miami defense does something you just can't do in a situation like this. There is no time left when he throws the ball. There are a lot of defenders there. Phelan is behind the defense. Well, you just cannot let an offensive pass receiver in those kinds of situations get behind you. The ball was in the air for 64 yards. Take a look in the middle, number 20, Gerard Phelan, Doug Flutie's roommate. He knows it's a desperation throw. All he is hoping back here is for a tipped ball. He is behind the defense, though. That can't happen. It cannot happen, but it did.
Doug Flutie and his roommate, Gerald Phelan. Last year at the Liberty Bowl, they had a fire alarm break out in the hotel. Phelan got up and said, "Women, children, and Doug Flutie first." He knew what he was talking about. Boston College has won it 47-45. And we'll be back at the Orange Bowl after these messages from your local stations. The pride of Rosemont, Pennsylvania. Gerald Phelan has just caught a ball thrown by his roommate, Doug Flutie.
Well, I did this one. I was hoping we did this.
And Gerard did it today, didn't he?
And it worked out for us early on in the season.
He got behind the defense when it really shouldn't have happened.
What we wanted to do is just get over.
You know, we started out the telecast with the idea that it was going to be a wing and a prayer, and that's exactly what happened. Take a look at this last play. It's unbelievable. As you reconstruct it, you'll watch here as Reggie Sutton, number 1, will knock Darrell Fullington off balance as he goes up to knock the ball down. Now watch here. Phelan gets behind Fullington. Fullington, 19, goes up right there. Now number 1 right there. Sutton knocks Fullington off. Phelan is there to catch the ball. The clock is out. What a fantastic finish.
Phelan caught 11 passes for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns. Flutie, 34 completions in 46 attempts, 472 yards and 3 touchdowns. And this play, one of the most memorable in college football history. 1,273 total yards this afternoon as Flutie flushed to the right. With the time running out, gave it all he had. And here's what the young man saw. We've got it. The Crown Prince has done it again. The mighty man of college football.
Oh, that's super.
Doug Flutie and Boston College pull it out 47-45. We'll be right back.